Chapter 361 Pandora's Box. After sinking the entire capital into the ground, the people of Li Zhiguo did not give up. They were still developing medicines, and after the successful development of medicines, they would cultivate strongmen to turn the tide of the battle in one fell swoop. And the countries that attacked at this time also did not give up the attack because of this. They began to dig tunnels and wanted to completely destroy the country. After seeing this, Dong Shenyao knew that the passage he had walked before was dug up by the attacking enemy, and then he continued to check Sakaguchi's memory and found that even the strange beasts he encountered before were those the country is there to prevent people from the country from escaping through this passage. As for the murals outside, they are warning future generations not to enter this ruins, but unfortunately, because the age is too long, the murals are already incomplete. Even if Sakaguchi got some information left in the palace, he could not understand it. The meaning of the frescoes, and the specific reason why the posters were warned is unknown. The information that Sakaguchi Hikaru knew was also very limited. He only knew that the last country of Lizzie successfully developed the potion, but at this time, the people of the enemy country had also dug through the channel and came to this underground city. What happened after that was not mentioned in the data. So Sakaguchi Hikaru didn't know anything. The only thing he knew was that the last drug developed was placed in this room. With this discovery, Hikaru Sakaguchi was very excited. It happened at this time that the bounty hunter who was looking for him came here. Hikaru Sakaguchi shared the information he knew with the bounty hunter, but he didn't expect it. Knowing that there is a potion that can enhance people's strength, the bounty hunter changed his face and threatened Hikaru Sakaguchi to get the potion. In order to save his life, Hikaru Sakaguchi could only be vain, but he was worthy of being a master of pharmacy. He could not only make healing medicines, but also poisons. After the bounty hunter and Sakaguchi Hikaru turned against each other, Sakaguchi Hikaru quietly poisoned him. In the end, the bounty hunter was directly poisoned to death, but Sakaguchi Hikaru didn't have a good time. After the bounty hunter found out the truth, before his death, Sakaguchi Hikaru was also severely damaged. It turned out to be like this. I didn't expect to die together, but in the end, it was cheap for me. At this moment, Dong Shenyao's eyes were placed on the pool not far away, and Dong Shenyao learned from Sakaguchi Hikaru's memory, the potions made by the country of Li are in that pool. Of course, if you want to get the potion, you need to trigger a mechanism. Soon, according to Sakaguchi Hikaru's memory, Dong Shenyao found a secret cell near the pond, but when he opened the secret cell and was about to activate the mechanism to release the potion, he got a scroll in it. This scroll is made of animal skin, but I don't know what kind of beast skin it is. Anyway, even after thousands of years, this scroll has not decayed. After opening, lines of writing appear. Although there are some differences between the writings in ancient times and today, they have not changed much on the whole, and they can still be recognized by careful identification. Soon Dong Shenyao looked over the text on the scroll. It turned out to be like this. When Dong Shenyao read the contents on the scroll, he was surprised. At the same time, he also understood why the kingdom of Li was perished, and why there were murals outside to warn future generations. Is this self-rewarding? At this moment, Dong Shenyao felt pity for the country of Li. From this scroll, Dong Shenyao learned that the kingdom of Li had indeed successfully made the potion, but at the moment when the potion was successful, Pandora's magic box was also opened, because the potion turned out to be a magic medicine. At the moment when the potion was successfully refined, the potion exuded a faint fragrance. Under this fragrance, many people in the dungeon were bewildered, and involuntarily jumped into the pool containing the potion. In the end, these people devoured by the potion, no bones remain. Seeing this situation, the invaders were frightened, and some people who were still sober hurriedly fled, and finally sealed the underground ruins and left a mural to warn future generations. However, these invaders did not know that the people of the country of Li were not dead. 3 of them were the most powerful warriors of the country of Li at that time. With their tenacity, they got rid of the hypnosis of the fragrance. But it was too late. When they woke up, there were only 3 of them left in the underground ruins, and the others had been swallowed by the potion. Seeing that the potion was so terrifying, the three of them regretted it, but unfortunately it was too late. In order to prevent the potion from harming the world, they sealed up the potion, so Dong Shenyao and the others did not smell any smell when they came to the dungeon. After the three of them sealed the potion, they did not leave the dungeon, but chose to rest here forever, the three bones that Dong Shenyao had seen before. However, these three people did not do anything. One of them was also a pharmacist. Before he died, he studied the medicine carefully, and finally discovered the reason why the medicine harmed people before he died. He came to the conclusion that this potion needs a lot of life force to be successfully refined, so he will lure other people to jump into the potion in order to absorb their life force. If it can absorb enough life force, the power of life, then this potion can be truly refined successfully. But unfortunately, no one knows how much life force is enough. At least the people in the entire capital, plus some invaders, there are tens of thousands of people, and the life force possessed by so many people does not meet the needs of medicine. After reading the contents on the scroll, Dong Shenyao directly ignored the warning on the scroll, but became excited, because the power of life is a treasure to others, but to Dong Shenyao, it is like Chinese cabbage in general, how much is needed. Is this arranged by God for me? Sure enough, the traveler has benefits. Thinking of this, Dong Shenyao no longer hesitated, and directly activated the organ to prepare to release the sealed potion. I want to see what effect this potion made from alien plants will have. At this moment, Dong Shenyao was full of expectations and curiosity about this potion. As the mechanism was activated, a hole appeared at the bottom of the pond, followed by a green liquid gushing out from the hole, and at the moment when these liquids appeared, Dong Shenyao smelled a temptation. The aroma made Dong Shenyao's body become ready to move, as if he wanted to jump into the pool immediately. However, Dong Shenyao relied on his tenacious willpower to suppress his body's desire, because he couldn't guarantee what would happen if he jumped in. Thank you for the monthly ticket support of Open Black Lens Bracket Shin Shin No Maple Close Black Lens Bracket. Chapter 362 Alien Out of Print Enhancer. Dong Shenyao relied on tenacious willpower to suppress the desire of his body, but at this time his expression looked a little painful. It was like a lecherous wolf saw a naked beauty. He clearly wanted to go, but the consequence is death, so I have to endure it. 10 minutes later, the pool was almost full, and the liquid stopped flowing out at this time. Looking at the pool of green liquid, Dong Shenyao quickly opened the Eternal Mangekyo, then squatted down and inserted his hands into the green liquid. As soon as Dong Shenyao's hands entered the liquid, he immediately noticed that the life force in his body was rapidly draining. Seeing that Dong Shenyao did not dare to neglect, he quickly used Sharingan to speed up the absorption of the life force in the earth. If it was the previous Mangekyo, Dong Shenyao couldn't do this step, but now, the Eternal Mangekyo allows Dong Shenyao to actively absorb the power of life. Not only the earth, even the life force of humans, plants, and animals can be absorbed by Dong Shenyao, but if Dong Shenyao is actively absorbed, it will consume chakra and pupil power. Time passed, and the life force in Dong Shenyao's body poured out like a flood. Almost every minute, the life force possessed by an adult was sucked out of Dong Shenyao's body. Fortunately, he absorbed the life force. The speed is faster, otherwise I am afraid it will be sucked dry in a short time. Here, Dong Shenyao couldn't sense how long the time had passed, maybe an hour, maybe a day. He also couldn't calculate how much life force had been absorbed, but just when Dong Shenyao was already a little bored, he suddenly discovered that the speed at which the liquid body absorbed the life force slowed down. Is it over? At this time, Dong Shenyao came to the spirit, and at this time he realized that, at some point, the liquid body, which was still relatively light in color, had turned dark green at this time. Gradually, the liquid body's absorption of life force became slower and slower, and finally stopped completely. The next moment, Dong Shenyao noticed a strange energy feedback from the liquid body. He entered his body with his hands. Success! Dong Shenyao was overjoyed. He didn't think that the dead pharmacist's speculation was true. As long as he absorbed enough life force, the potion would become a real strengthening potion. After feeling the energy in the potion entering his body, Dong Shenyao soon discovered that his body was absorbing the energy, but because only his hands were in contact with the potion, the speed of absorption was relatively slow. Immediately Dong Shenyao bit Kiba, put his clothes on Tuo Guang, and then jumped into the dark green liquid with his naked body. The pool was only 1 meter deep. After Dong Shenyao entered the pool, the water had just reached his stomach, so Dong Shenyao simply squatted down, leaving only his head exposed. At this moment, almost all of Dong Shenyao's whole body was in contact with these dark green liquids, and a large amount of energy immediately entered Dong Shenyao's body. At this time, he found that both the chakra and the internal force in the body became eager to move. Not daring to be neglected, Dong Shenyao directly assumed the 7th pose of Yi Jin Jing and began to practice. As for chakra, he was temporarily put down, because in his opinion Yi Jin Jing was more important. A large amount of energy was absorbed and then refined into internal power. As time passed, the internal power in Dong Shenyao's body became more and more, and at this time, the water in the pool was slowly decreasing. I don't know how long ago, Dong Shenyao's Yi Jin Jing practice has reached the peak of the 7th style. As long as he breaks through the bottleneck, he can reach the 8th style. Dong Shenyao's internal force that has become majestic in his body is constantly impacting the bottleneck, twice if he fails once, 3 times if he fails 2 times. Although each time he hits the bottleneck, it will consume a lot of internal force. If the bottleneck fails, he needs to recover for a while. But now he doesn't need it. At this moment, his internal strength is increasing every minute and every second, so he doesn't care about these consumptions at all. With the repeated impact, the bottleneck gradually loosened. Finally, after Dong Shenyao hit the bottleneck for the 9th time, he finally succeeded. Crack! Dong Shenyao seemed to hear a crisp sound, and the bottleneck broke. Boom! At this moment, there was a roar from Dong Shenyao's body. The bones, meridians, and flesh and blood of the whole body were tempered by internal force over and over again, becoming stronger, and then Dong Shenyao quickly changed his posture, from the previous 7th form to became the 8th style. After cultivating for a while and consolidating his cultivation, Dong Shenyao stopped cultivating. Although there are still a lot of liquid and body at this time, Dong Shenyao is not ready to continue cultivating the Yi Jin Jing, because he has just broken through. If his cultivation continues to advance by leaps and bounds, it will easily affect his foundation. Next, Dong Shenyao began to refine chakra. Although the number of chakras of Dong Shenyao has reached cage level before, the quality is only elite Jonin. At this time, Dong Shenyao plans to use the power of this potion to see if the quality of chakra can be improved to the level of quasi-shadow. At this time, Dong Shenyao had forgotten the so-called mission. After all, his own strength was more important than the mission. Don't know how long ago, when the liquid in the pool had decreased by nearly half, Dong Shenyao finished his cultivation. Just like a beast, it is daunting. Ha ha ha, this trip really didn't come in vain. Dong Shenyao was naturally overjoyed when his strength advanced greatly. At this time, Dong Shenyao not only improved the quality of chakra to quasi-cage level, but also greatly increased the number, which has reached the level of late cage level. In addition, he tempered his body with the help of the energy contained in the liquid, which increased the 5.1 strength of his body a lot. Looking at the remaining half of the pool water, Dong Shenyao naturally couldn't waste it. He directly spent a few god building points from the system and exchanged some containers to store the liquid inside. The harvest this time is really not small, but unfortunately this treasure is a non-renewable resource. Dong Shenyao shook his head helplessly. Before, Dong Shenyao deliberately checked the exchange system and wanted to find this medicinal liquid, but unfortunately, he did not find it. After inquiring about the system, he learned that this is because there are aliens in this medicinal liquid. That plant is not from the Hokage world, so there is no such medicine in the system. After all, the limitation of the exchange system is that it only has items from the Hokage world, so this potion is an out-of-print item and a non-renewable resource. Chapter 363 S-Class Bounty Hunter Part 1. After putting away the potion, Tashinyao walked to Sakaguchi Hikaru. At this time, Hikaru Sakaguchi was not dead yet. If Tashinyao wanted to, he could completely save him, but Tashinyao wouldn't do it, because he didn't want the information about the strengthening potion to leak out. "I'm sorry, for my own good, so you can only die," said. Dong Shenyao directly used the pupil technique to pull out Hikaru Sakaguchi's soul, and finally crushed his soul. At this moment, it can be said that even if someone uses impure world reincarnation, it is impossible to save Hikaru Sakaguchi. Immediately after, Tashinyao sealed Sakaguchi Hikaru's body on a blank scroll, and walked out of the room. The entire palace has been walked by Sakaguchi Hikaru once, and there is nothing of value, so Dong Shenyao did not waste time, left the palace directly, and then left the dungeon at the fastest speed. Standing at the entrance of the passage, looking at the huge city in the distance, a light flashed in Dongshin's dazzling eyes. "From today, let's perish. Landslides and earthquakes." With the activation of the skill, the entire dungeon suddenly began to shake, followed by the collapse of the 15th earth. Even the well-preserved palace began to collapse. Immediately afterwards, the rock above the underground city kept falling downwards. Seeing that everything was irreversible, Dong Shenyao directly fused his body into the rock and quickly rushed towards the ground. Although Dong Shenyao has left, the destruction of the dungeon will not stop. In fact, Dong Shenyao's skills are just an introduction. As long as the balance here is destroyed, the destruction of the dungeon will be irreversible. Boom! Outside, the mountain next to the underground cave shook directly, and then the ground collapsed. The destruction of the underground city even caused problems here. The underground cave is very close to the town, so the movement here quickly alerted the people in the town. Some courageous people rushed over to check, and finally found that with the underground cave as the center, the ground within a radius of nearly 1,000 meters began to collapse. Even the mountain peaks shook, a large number of stones fell, and the mountain peaks were descending at a speed visible to the naked eye. At this time, Dong Shenyao had already come out of the underground cave, because he left directly from the soil, so no one found him. Without staying here for a long time in the underground cave, Dong Shenyao returned directly to the town. At this time, he was a little worried. He had forgotten the time in the dungeon before practicing in the dungeon. If the 5 days passed by the mission, it would be difficult. After returning to the town, Dong Shenyao inquired and found that 3 days had passed since he entered the underground ruins, and today was the deadline for the mission. "Fortunately, I caught up." Dong Shenyao let out a long sigh of relief. It was already afternoon, so Dong Shenyao didn't even bother to eat, and hurried to the nearest underground exchange. Fortunately, Dong Shenyao's body received nutritional supplements due to the absorption of the fortified potion, so although he hadn't eaten for several days, he was not very hungry. Before coming to the country of medicine, Dong Shenyao had already inquired about the location of the underground exchange here, so 2 hours later, near dusk, Dong Shenyao found the underground exchange in a town. No nonsense, Dong Shenyao immediately started to hand in the task after entering here. Different from the underground exchange I saw in the country of fire before, this underground exchange in the country of medicine is of lower level and there is no tavern. This is a place to receive and send tasks. After coming here, Dong Shenyao didn't talk nonsense, and directly took out the quest scroll and Sakaguchi's body. The quest scroll was Dong Shenyao's identity certificate, and the corpse was the quest item. After the waiter who received Dong Shenyao carefully checked it, he confirmed that the task was completed. "Evil Emperor, you are amazing, you actually completed this task, congratulations on passing the test." The waiter looked at Dongshin Yaodao with respect. From the quest scroll, the waiter already knew the identity of Dong Shenyao, a bounty hunter who had just joined the underground exchange and was still in the assessment stage. However, as soon as he came up, he completed an S-level assessment task, which was naturally surprising, and at the same time it could reflect the powerful strength of Dong Shenyao. Soon the waiter handed over a sum of money to Dong Shenyao. Although this was an assessment task, he would get a bounty if he completed it. After the waiter wrote some words on the quest scroll, he returned him to Dong Shenyao. Evil Emperor, you take this to the underground exchange where you took the mission, and he will handle your identity verification at that time. Well, I see, thank you. After speaking, Dong Shenyao said goodbye to the waiter and left. It seems that the bounty hunter world is not calm again. As soon as you came up, you became an S-rank bounty hunter, and you also took the code name of the evil emperor. I don't know if you are arrogant or confident. The waiter looked at the east. The figure of Shen Yao leaving. He muttered. The task has been completed, and the next step is to confirm it. At this time, Dong Shenyao has also relaxed, and he does not need to be as urgent as when he came. When he went back, Dong Shenyao deliberately slowed down his pace. First, he stayed in the country of medicine 963 for a day. He also came here for a purpose, that is, to find a pharmacist. This is not difficult. There are many pharmacists in the country of medicine, but most of them are not high-level and cannot make high-level medicines. However, Dong Shenyao does not care about this. He has already obtained the memories of Sakaguchi Hikaru. There is not only information about dungeons, but also many pharmaceutical experiences and formulas. What's more, Dong Shenyao has a system that can exchange various pharmaceutical methods. If necessary, he can train several masters of pharmacy by himself, but it is too time-consuming, so in the end Dong Shenyao found it in the country of medicine. 3 people, these 3 people are 1 big and 2 small. The older one is an adult with good pharmaceutical skills, and the 2 younger ones are his disciples. Although the skills are not good, after all, they are still young and they are studying at this time. Stage. The reason for looking for these 3 is because they are all alone, and even the adult pharmacist has no friends or relatives, so in the end, Dong Shenyao directly used the pupil technique to control their souls and change their memories. Make them allegiance to themselves. None of these 3 people were ninjas, and their willpower was not strong, so it was easy to change their memories. After doing all this, Dong Shenyao took these 3 people on the journey to the land of tempering. Chapter 364 S-Class Bounty Hunter, Part 2. Dong Shenyao had to slow down because he brought 3 oil bottles, but because the country of medicine was not big, the 4 of them entered the country of earth in the afternoon. Although the environment of the land of earth is not as good as that of the land of fire, it is stronger than the land of wind. It is just that the land of earth is full of mountains and rocks. Here in the high mountains and forests, strange rocks are overgrown, and the vegetation is relatively lacking, but there are also differences that are different from those of fire. Landscape of the country. 4 days later, the group came to the country of fire. This was because Dong Shenyao couldn't stand it anymore and hired a carriage, otherwise their speed would only be slower. There were 3 pharmacists around, so after returning to the country of fire, Dong Shenyao did not rush to authenticate his identity. He first sent the 3 pharmacists back to Konoha, and then went to the underground exchange. Of course, when he sent the 3 pharmacists, he did not go through the main entrance of Konoha, but the entrance and exit of the Dark Blade alone, so except for a few high-level executives of the Dark Blade, even Sarutobi Hiruzen did not know about the pharmacist. Several senior members of the Dark Blade are Hyuga and the others. Because of their trust in Dong Shenyao, they did not ask more about the origin of the pharmacist, nor did they ask when Dong Shenyao left Konoha, but directly after setting them up, Dong Shenyao left Konoha secretly again after leaving some information about making yakushi. Once again, I came to the underground exchange. Compared with the last time, there is no change here, but there are more people in the tavern. Dong Shenyao was wearing a Death Tyrant outfit, with a white cloak and a hat on his head, and his face was covered, so no one recognized him. Or at this point most people have forgotten about it. After all, bounty hunters basically live a life of licking blood with the tip of a knife, and maybe they will die at some point, so the S-level assessment is amazing, but after paying attention for a few days, they also change their target. At this time, 10 days have passed since Dong Shenyao accepted the mission. Those who knew the inside story thought that Dong Shenyao had failed, so they would not pay attention to a person who was dead. Crack. Coming to the counter, Dong Shenyao slapped the quest scroll directly on the table, The young man who was the receptionist glanced at Dong Shenyao curiously, and then picked up the quest scroll. It's you. When the young man read the contents on the quest scroll, he suddenly exclaimed. Dong Shenyao didn't speak, just nodded. That's right, it's me, and now I'm here to verify my identity. You, wait a moment, I'll do it now. The young man was not as relaxed as before, and even used honorifics to address Dong Shenyao. After speaking, he quickly took the scroll and ran behind the tavern. Go. What happened? Some bounty hunters in the tavern were a little surprised when they saw the young man's reaction. I don't know, but who is this person to be able to make Wei Tai so respectful? This Wei Tai is a person with eyes above the top. Even in the face of A-rank bounty hunters, he has never been so polite. Yeah, is this person an S-rank bounty hunter? For a while, the bounty hunters in the tavern began to speculate about Dong Shenyao's identity. Although there are more S-rank bounty hunters than SS rank and SSS rank, but not much, so every S-rank bounty hunter is sought after by many bounty hunters. Without letting Dong Shenyao wait for a long time, the youth had returned in less than 5 minutes, and then stretched out his hands very respectfully. Dong Shenyao looked down and found that the youth was holding a metal token in his hands. The token is not large, just the size of a baby's palm. Sir, this is the token that represents your identity. In the future, when you go to the underground exchange to pick up the task, please show this token. The youth explained. Yeah. After responding, Dong Shenyao picked up the token. After looking at it, Dong Shenyao found that this token was made of ordinary black iron, but it was of good quality, with a letter, S, engraved on one side and the word, Evil Emperor, on the other side. After a rough look, Dong Shenyao put away the token directly. I don't know what else I can do for you, the young man said with a smile. Although his status in the underground exchange is not low, he still has to maintain some humility in the face of S-rank bounty hunters. I want to take the mission, Dong Shenyao said in a flat tone. The young man did not speak, and took out a few quest scrolls. Sir, I don't know what level of quest you want to take. Since you are an S-level bounty hunter now, you can take S-level quests at the highest. Then take the S-class. Okay. After answering, the other scrolls of the youth bar were put away, except for the S-level quest scroll. My lord, the tasks on this scroll are all S-rank, please take a look. Dong Shenyao didn't speak anymore, and after finishing the scroll, he looked at it. Taking a general look, Dong Shenyao found that it was also an S-rank quest. The difficulty of the quest was different, and the quest requirements were all kinds of strange, relatively normal, that is, killing people, or protecting people, or looking for someone. Some things are such a more partial task, and even Dong Shenyao saw a strange task that required to go from the land of fire to a small island in the land of water in one day. Hey, what's going on? As long as you reach the island, the mission is complete. Dong Shenyao asked curiously. Yes, my lord, although this task is not dangerous, it is not difficult. After all, ordinary people do not have such a fast speed, so they are classified as S-level tasks. The youth explained. So it is. Nodding clearly, Dong Shenyao stopped paying attention to this task. Although this task is not difficult for Dong Shenyao, who can fly, he does not have such leisurely feelings. Well, this is not bad. After reading it carefully, Dong Shenyao quickly selected a task. I'm taking this mission. Sir, are you sure? The young man finally confirmed. Yes, that's it. Sir, this is the quest scroll, please keep it. It has the information of the quest, and you need to show the quest scroll when you hand in the quest. Got it. After speaking, Dong Shenyao took the quest scroll and left. The conversation between the young man and Dong Shenyao just now was not small, so many people in the tavern heard it. S-level mission. This person is really an S-level bounty hunter. I didn't expect that I would be fortunate enough to meet an S-level bounty hunter. Yeah, it's hard to see such a high-level bounty hunter. Hearing the chatter of the surrounding people, the young man behind the counter had calmed down. Although Dong Shenyao's strength was beyond his expectations, the young man was still not optimistic about Dong Shenyao. Chapter 365 Country of Thunder. I don't know how long you can live. Thinking of Dong Shenyao, the young man couldn't help shaking his head. Although Dong Shenyao seems to be quite powerful, he was able to pass the S-rank assessment and be directly promoted to the S-rank bounty hunter, but the young people are still not optimistic about Dong Shenyao, because the name Dong Shenyao Evil Emperor is a taboo. The youth did not think that Dong Shenyao could survive being hunted by SSS-level bounty hunters. After leaving the underground exchange, Dong Shenyao first had lunch in the town, and then he looked at the quest scroll. The Country of Thunder. I just happen to have never been there before, so this time it's a trip. Thinking of this, Dong Shenyao put away the scroll and went straight to the Country of Thunder. The Kingdom of Thunder, one of the 5 major nations in the ninja world, is second only to Konoha village in terms of military capability. It is powerful and rich in resources. Although it is worse than the Kingdom of Fire, it is much stronger than the other countries. Kumogakure village in the Kingdom of Thunder did not participate in the previous Ninja World War, but the strength of Kumogakure village was also lost a lot, and it was no longer able to start a war, so it did not participate in the Ninja World War. Originally, Kumogakure village was powerful, but unfortunately, because of the disturbance of the Golden Horn Silver Corner, not only did Raikage, the second generation of 673, die tragically, but also because of the war between the two sides, many powerful ninjas in Kumogakure village fell. Golden Horn and Silver Horn have a very high reputation in Kumogakure village. As the only 2 people who came out of the stomach of Kyubi, Ninetails, they even ate the meat of Kyubi, Ninetails, and did not die. Kumogakure village is even more famous than Raikage in terms of fame and prestige, so when the 2 launched a rebellion, they got a lot of responses. But unfortunately, due to the battle between the Golden Horn and the Senju Tobarama, both sides perished, lost their leader, the rebel forces were scattered, and the newly appointed 3 generations of Raikage had extraordinary strength, and this finally succeeded in quelling the rebellion. Otherwise, if the Golden Horn Silver did not die, the 2 of them really have the potential to subvert the Kumogakure village. Although the rebellion was quelled, the Kumogakure village also suffered heavy losses, so until now, the Kumogakure village is still recuperating. Before, due to the war with Iwagakure village and Sunagakure village, Dong Shenyao went to the land of earth and the land of wind. Later, in order to bring disaster to the east, he also went to the land of water, but he was the only one who never visited the land of thunder. This time, the reason why he took this mission was not for the sake of taking a trip to the land of thunder. The task that Dong Shenyao received this time was not as complicated as the assessment task. This time, he only needed to kill an elite Jonin from Kumogakure village. As for who issued this task, Dong Shenyao did not care. In fact, there are quite a few quests like this to hunt ninjas in the Great Ninja Village. On the quest scroll, Dong Shenyao even saw a quest to hunt the elite Jonin of Konoha village. He has no doubt that on the SS level and SSS level mission scrolls, there will definitely be missions to hunt and kill powerful ninjas in various villages. There was no deadline for this mission, so Dong Shenyao was not in a hurry at all, and hurried towards the land of thunder in a leisurely manner. Although he didn't deliberately hurry, the speed was not slow after all. 2 days later, Dong Shenyao had arrived in the land of thunder. The target of Dong Shenyao's mission this time is an elite Jonin from Kumogakure village named Hashiguchi Kamita. It is introduced on the mission scroll that Hashiguchi Kamita is now an instructor and is now cultivating a team of genin, so he often brings his family members with him. Leave the village. With this information, Tashinyao began to wait outside the village of Kumogakure. Of course, he didn't monitor it himself, but sent an earth clone. With the quality of Dong Shenyao's chakra reaching the quasi-shadow level, his earth clone could have another one. As for Dong Shenyao himself, he was wandering around in the land of thunder. Although Kumogakure village experienced a civil strife before, there was no war in the Kingdom of Thunder after all, so the people here seemed very relaxed, and there was no sadness after the war that the people of the Kingdom of Fire experienced. As time goes by, there are many people coming in and out of Kumogakure village every day, but there is no Toshinyao Hashiguchi, the target of this mission, but he is not in a hurry, anyway, his main purpose in the country of thunder is not for task. In the blink of an eye, it has been 6 days since Dong Shenyao came to the land of thunder. In the past few days, he not only tasted the delicacies of the land of thunder, but also experienced the local customs here. When Dong Shenyao was wandering in a small town that day, Shadow Clone of the Earth Avatar found him. The main body, the target has already appeared. After the explanation, Shadow Clone disappeared directly. Although the Earth Clone has many advantages, it also has some limitations. For example, there is not much connection between the Shadow Clone used by the Earth Clone and the main body of Dong Shenyao. At least after the Shadow Clone of the Earth Clone disappears, the main body of Dong Shenyao cannot be obtained. Memories of this Shadow Clone. Of course, both sides can perceive each other, so this Shadow Clone can find Dong Shenyao. It's finally here, and it's time for an event after so many days of shopping. After speaking, Dong Shenyao turned around and walked out of the town. Relying on the induction with the Earth Clone, 2 hours later, Dong Shenyao merged with the Earth Clone, and after the Earth Clone was released, Dong Shenyao didn't need to digest the memory at all, because at this time he had already seen the mission target Hashiguchi Shengtai. At this time, 1,000 meters away, there was a middle-aged ninja with 3 genins on their way, apparently preparing to carry out a certain mission, but they didn't know that they had been targeted. Teacher, when can we do B-level tasks? Tenten will be bored doing these D-level and C-level tasks, a teenager complained. Okay, don't complain, although you are already ninjas now, but in my opinion, you can only be regarded as ninjas during the internship period at most. When you really have the ability that a genin should have, I will naturally follow you to perform B-level tasks. Hashiguchi Kamita explained. It's the same again. Obviously, it was not the first time Mrs. Hashiguchi had said so. Not good. Just when Hashiguchi Kamata was about to say something else, his body suddenly froze, and the next moment, something unexpected happened. Boom! Countless earth thorns suddenly appeared in the ground with a radius of several hundred meters. These earth thorns appeared too suddenly, and it was too good to be on the bridge. After all, it was an elite Jonin, so he reacted instantly and tried to dodge, but his 3 subordinates were unlucky. They were all just genin, and the 3 bodies were directly pierced by soil thorns. No! Seeing his 3 subordinates dying in front of him, Hashiguchi Shengtai's eyes turned bloody, but at this moment, Dong Shenyao emerged from a soil thorn behind Chaoko Shengtai. Chapter 366 SS Class Bounty Hunter. PFF'd. A puddle of blood spattered and finally fell to the ground, staining Yuhi's land. There was a long gap on the back of Mrs. Chaoko, and blood kept gushing out, but at this time he didn't care about the injury on his body, biting Kiba to resist the pain on his back. It's quite quick to hide. Dong Shenyao whispered. At this time, the Queen Mother Chaoko was terrified. If he hadn't hid just now, he might have died by now. But now he didn't even bother to turn around to see who was attacking him, so he jumped up and ran into the distance, preparing to stay away from the enemy's attack range. Naive. Dong Shenyao smiled disdainfully, and the next moment, the soil thorn beneath him suddenly burst open. Rock rain. Whoosh whoosh. The cracked huge soil thorns turned into small soil thorns, and went straight to the bridge entrance. Aware of the sound of breaking through the air coming from behind, Shengtai Chaoko didn't dare to stop at all, and quickly accelerated. Raiden Thunder Style Thunder. Tai hand seal on Chaoko suddenly flashed lightning on his body, and the next moment Tai on Chaoko disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already 100 meters away. As expected of Raiden Thunder Style, the speed is even faster than Futon Wind Style. Seeing Keita Hashiguchi dodging his attack, Dong Shenyao was slightly surprised and ran towards Keita Hashiguchi. At this time, Hashiguchi Shengta had turned around and saw Dong Shenyao. Seeing that the enemy was approaching him, this time Hashiguchi Shengtai didn't want to be passive anymore. Raiden Thunder Style Thunder Net. Hand seal on the bridge, a large amount of thunder and lightning suddenly spewed out of his mouth. As soon as these thunder and lightning appeared, they immediately turned into a large net and shrouded Dong Shenyao in the past. Facing the thunderbolt net, Dong Shenyao didn't dodge, and slammed into it. Crack! Tears flickered, and Dong Shenyao was wrapped in a net of lightning, but the next moment, he heard a bang explosion, and Dong Shenyao turned into smoke and dissipated. Not good. It's shadow clone. Boom. The ground cracked, and the ground at the foot of the bridge mouth cracked instantly, and a large pit appeared under his feet. The sudden change made Hashiguchi Shengtai unable to react for a while, and his body fell directly into the big pit. Gravity space. Dong Shenyao appeared next to the big pit, and at the same time exerted gravity on the space in the big pit. At this time, the bridge mouth too had no ability to struggle anymore, and his body fell directly into the pit, while in the dirt the bottom of the pit is covered with soil spurs. PFF'd. Blood splattered, and although Shengta Chaoko was not pierced by the soil thorn, he was severely injured, and blood spurted out from his mouth. That's it. Although Mrs. Hashiguchi was seriously injured, Dong Shenyao had no intention of letting go. The instant body technique was used, and Dong Shenyao came to the side of Shengtai Chaoko in an instant. PFF'd. The shadow-cutting knife slid past, and Hashiguchi Shengtai's head had already rolled to the ground. Solved. Dong Shenyao didn't care about Shengtai's body at Chaoko anymore, and after sealing his head directly, Dong Shenyao returned to the pit. Burial. Boom. The earth was surging, and soon everything was submerged. Even the bodies of the 3 genins who were killed by Dong Shenyao at the beginning were buried under the earth. At this time, everything around was calm, and all the battles the traces of it have been erased by Dong Shenyao. After the task was completed, Dong Shenyao didn't stop, and after the teleportation technique, he disappeared in place. When he officially became a bounty hunter before, Dong Shenyao got a distribution map of underground exchanges with the addresses of all underground exchanges in the entire ninja world. Soon Dong Shenyao came to the nearest underground exchange. This is also a large exchange, with a tavern where many bounty hunters are drinking and chatting. After seeing Dong Shenyao come in, many people looked over. Walking to the counter, Dong Shenyao directly took out the quest scroll and the head of Hashiguchi Shengta. Look, isn't that lady on the bridge? It's really him. This is the elite Jonin. He was actually killed. Who is this person who was able to kill Mrs. Hashiguchi? Who knows, but I don't know how Kumogakure will react when they find out. At this moment, a group of bounty hunters in the tavern started to discuss, and at the same time, they also became curious about the identity of Dong Shenyao. Sir Xie Huang, this is your bounty, please take it. After confirming the identity of Hashiguchi Shengtai, the waiter quickly handed the bounty to Dong Shenyao. Evil Emperor. This person is actually called the Evil Emperor. Is he an SSS level ninja? It shouldn't be. There are only 3 SSS level bounty hunters, and none of them are called Evil Emperor. For a time, everyone became curious about the identity of Dong Shenyao. Just when Dong Shenyao took the box containing the money and was about to leave, he heard a bang. The door of the tavern was pushed open, and then a man with a mask on his face walked in. Ah, what day is it today? Why is another big man here? After seeing the masked man who came in, a bounty hunter couldn't help but exclaimed. Is this masked person famous? Someone asked. Nonsense, this person is one of the rare SS level powerhouses among bounty hunters. He is titled Blood King. It is said that he is bloodthirsty and often kills for no reason. It turned out to be SS level. Now there is a good show to watch. There is an evil emperor and a blood king. I don't know if the two of them will conflict. At this moment, many people are interested. Dong Shenyao passed by the masked man, and suddenly the masked man moved slightly and rammed towards Dong Shenyao. Facing this situation, Dong Shenyao frowned, but he did not dodge. Bang! Boom! After the two collided, an unexpected scene happened. Dong Shenyao didn't move at all. On the other hand, looking at the masked Blood King, he couldn't help but take 3 steps back. Looking for death. At this time, Yuhi's cheeks were on fire under the Blood King's mask, and he was embarrassed. He was going to provoke Dong Shenyao, but he didn't expect to be beaten in the face. "Boy, say your name." The Blood King glared at the Eastern god and said. "Evil Emperor. Evil Emperor. Good boy, I was just going to teach you a lesson, but I didn't expect you to dare to give such a name. Remember that it was my Blood King who killed you." After speaking, the masked man actually shot. "Huh." I saw a flash of cold light, and a kunai appeared in the masked man's hand and went straight to Dong Shenyao and stabbed. Chapter 367 Kill the King. When a symphony of gold and iron sounded, and at the same time, sparks splashed around, and the Blood King's kunai was blocked. After being tempered by the strengthening potion, Dong Shenyao's physical fitness has improved a lot at this time, and it is not bad compared to cage-level masters. After one blow, Dong Shenyao's arm exerted force and even directly forced the Blood King. Return. At this time, the Blood King had already put away his contempt for Dong Shenyao. Regardless of other things, at least in physical skills, the Blood King thought he was inferior to Dong Shenyao. "Boy, you've had 2 strokes. No wonder you dare to be called the Evil Emperor, but that's not enough." After speaking, the Blood King jumped up, but this time, instead of rushing towards Dong Shenyao, he was staying away from him. Not good. After seeing the Blood King's actions, some people who knew the Blood King couldn't help but change their faces, because they knew that the Blood King was not really good at taijutsu, but ninjutsu, and he was the Kaiden fire-style ninjutsu with strong attack power. Technique. Hand sealed with both hands in front of him while backing away. As a SS-level bounty hunter, the Blood King is a real quasi-cage level expert. The hand seal is extremely fast, but within a second, the Blood Wong has hand seal done. Kaiden fire style, great fireball art. Woo! A huge fireball spewed out and went straight to Dong Shenyao. The temperature of the flame was extremely high. As soon as it appeared, some of the cups burst directly under the influence of the high temperature. Just hearing the sound of bang bang sounded one after another, many people could not dodge and were injured by the broken glass, and at the same time, the place where the fireball passed left a dark scorch mark on the ground. Doden Earth Style Earth Flow Wall. In order to hide his identity, Dong Shenyao chose the hand seal this time, and then he pressed his hands on the ground, and a stone wall immediately rose straight from the ground. Boom! The next moment, the fireball bombarded the stone wall, and the explosion sounded, and the billowing smoke directly enveloped the entire tavern. Run! At this time, how dare those bounty hunters stay? Although they like to watch the fun, they also cherish their own lives. If they stay with their strength, they will be killed by the aftermath of the battle between the two. At this time, even the people from the underground exchange did not dare to come out and stop it. It would be fine if it was just an S-rank bounty hunter, but the Blood King was an SS-ranked person, and such a person would not dare to offend the underground exchanges. The stone wall made by Dong Shenyao was very strong and directly blocked the fireball. After seeing that his fireball did not break the stone wall, the Blood King's face was a little ugly. He thought that his Kaiden fire-style attainments were very high, but now he couldn't even break a stone wall, which made him feel a little ashamed. Give me death. Kaiden fire-style, head hard. At this time, the Blood King was already crazy, and in his eyes only Dong Shenyao. He even forgot that he was in a town at this time, and directly used the high-level Kaiden fire-style ninjutsu. Woo! The Blood King opened his mouth, and a large flame suddenly spewed out, and the flames rushed towards the eastern god Yao like a wave. Facing the sea of flames coming towards him, Dong Shenyao did not choose passive defense this time. At this time, his hands were also in hand seal in front of him. Kaiden fire-style, flame extinction. Woo! At this moment, Dong Shenyao also spewed out a large amount of flames, and the turbulent flames instantly enveloped the space in front of him, and the turbulent waves spread to the surroundings. Boom! The roof of the tavern collapsed directly. The tavern was built underground. After the roof collapsed, a large amount of flames shot up into the sky, and the public toilet where the underground exchange was located was shrouded in flames. Is just getting started. Boom. The explosion sounded, and the Kaiden fire-style ninjutsu used by the two bombarded together, and an explosion occurred directly, followed by a stalemate between the two flames. Run. At this time, the people in the town were already alarmed. Seeing the flames emerging from the ground, the flames were shrouded in a radius of hundreds of meters, and explosions sounded from time to time. These ordinary people were terrified. Thinking that the end of the world is coming, I hurriedly ran out of the house and ran out of town. At this time, almost all the people in the town were alarmed, and they didn't care about others. They quickly put down what they were doing and started to run away. Boom. With the sound of another explosion, Dong Shenyao's Kaiden fire style finally defeated the Blood King's Kaiden fire style, and a large number of flames attacked the Blood King. Seeing this, the Blood King hurriedly dodged. The flames bombarded the wall, the sound of explosions came out, and waves of air were scattered, and the Blood King who was closer was directly affected, and could not help but fly out. Dong Shenyao has been paying attention to the Blood King. After seeing him being knocked into the air, he quickly stopped Kaiden fire style and ran towards the Blood King through the sea of fire. Bang! The Blood King smashed to the ground, splashing dust all over the place, but before he could get up, Dong Shenyao had already approached him, and then he raised his hand, and suddenly a large shuriken shot out. Whoosh whoosh. PFF'd. Blood splattered, and although the Blood King dodged in time, he was still hit by a few shuriken. Seeing that the Blood King was injured, Dong Shenyao took advantage of the victory to pursue and kick the Blood King. Boom. The Blood King was whinnying after all. Although he was injured, his reaction was not slow. At the last moment, he dodged. Dong Shenyao kicked his foot on the ground, and the ground was blasted into a big hole. At this time, the Blood King was a little scared. If he himself was kicked by this kick, I am afraid that he would be seriously injured. The Blood King knew that if he continued to fight in his current state, he could only lose, so he jumped up quickly, jumped out of the big hole in the roof of the tavern, came to the ground, and then prepared to escape. Futon, wind style, vacuum sphere. Whoosh whoosh. One after another, the wind bullets shot out and went straight to the back of the Blood King. Aware of the attack coming from behind, the Blood King hurriedly dodged, and at this moment Dong Shenyao had taken the opportunity to approach the Blood King. Go to hell. 5.9 inches the gravity field. Bang. At this moment, Dong Shenyao directly opened the field of gravity, which made the Blood King's body, who had never had such an experience, stop immediately. Taking this opportunity, Dong Shenyao punched the Blood King's chest. This punch was extremely powerful, and the Blood King the body flew straight up. Dong Shenyao was so powerful that he also jumped up and came directly to the Blood King. At this time, the Blood King was in midair, and there were bursts of pain in his chest, making him unable to move at all. Go to hell. After using the gravity domain, Dong Shenyao never thought about letting the Blood King live. Bang! Dong Shenyao kicked in the air and directly stepped on the Blood King's heart. This kick was heavy, and only hearing a bang, a hole was blown out in the Blood King's heart, and his heart was directly blown to pieces. Chapter 368 Rise to Fame. After stepping on the Blood King to death, Dong Shenyao first took off the mask on the Blood King's face out of curiosity. After remembering his appearance, he didn't stop, and Dong Shenyao hurried out of the town. He did not forget that this was in the Land of Thunder, and the entire Land of Thunder was sheltered by the village of Kumogakure. There was such a big commotion here, and it was impossible not to disturb the Kumogakure village. Dong Shenyao guessed that a master from the Kumogakure village would arrive soon. Now Dong Shenyao doesn't want to conflict with Kumogakure village, so it is the best strategy to go directly. If he wants to go at his speed, Kumogakure village can't find him at all. Not long after leaving the town, Dong Shenyao got rid of the people who were secretly following behind him, then let go of his footsteps and rushed straight to the border of the Land of Thunder. He has also stayed here for a while, the task has been completed, and he is ready to leave the country of thunder. As expected by Dong Shenyao, a large number of ninjas from Kumogakure village arrived within 10 minutes of his departure. When they saw the ruins in the town, they couldn't help looking at each other. With such a degree of destruction, someone with the strength of the elite Jonin or above is definitely fighting here. The leader, Kumogakure, said in a solemn tone. Come here, my lord, there is a corpse here. Suddenly a Kumogakure who was investigating the battlefield shouted. Hearing the subordinate's voice, Kumogakure, who took the lead, hurried over to check. This is. Looking at the corpse on the ground and the mask thrown aside, the Kumogakure suddenly felt that this person looked familiar. By the way, isn't this the SS-level bounty hunter Blood King of the Underground Exchange? Finally, the Kumogakure recognized the identity of the deceased. SS-level and SSS-level bounty hunters in the Underground Exchange are very famous in the whole ninja world, so all the ninja villages have their information, although there is no information about their identities, but these people are dressed and so on. Detailed records. Kumogakure, who led the team this time, has a high status in the village, so he has also read a lot of secret materials, including the information of the Blood King, so he will recognize the Blood King at this time. King of Blood, isn't that a quasi-cage level bounty hunter? He actually died, the subordinates on the side exclaimed when they heard the words. No, it's still not certain whether this is the Blood King. After all, no one has seen the real appearance of the Blood King, and it's impossible to confirm just by the way he dresses, so this matter remains to be investigated, but before that, we can't either. The hunt for the murderer is relaxed. To dare to make trouble in our country of thunder is a provocation to our Kumogakure village. Since the person suspected of being the Blood King is already dead, that's fine. Another person must catch him and let him pay the price. The leader Kumogakure said sternly. Of Thunder is a big country, Kumogakure village is one of the 5 top ninja villages in the ninja world. But Kumogakure, who is the leader, knows that there are many small ninja villages staring at them now, just waiting for Kumogakure village to show weakness, and then these small ninja villages will attack them in groups, divide up Kumogakure village, and finally even replace it. Now someone dares to fight in the town of the Land of Thunder. This is a naked provocation to Kumogakure village, and it is a face slap. If it is not handled properly, I am afraid that other ninja villages will think that Kumogakure village is easy to bully. At that time, the situation of their Kumogakure village was in danger. Soon the entire Kumogakure village was mobilized to hunt down the culprit this time, the evil emperor. That's right, Kumogakure village already knew the identity of the other murderer, because after learning what happened, Kumogakure village communicated with the Underground Exchange. After confirming the identity of the Blood King, he also knew about killing the Blood who is the king, an S-rank bounty hunter called the Evil Emperor. Although Dong Shenyao killed the Blood King, judging from the strength he showed, he was at least a quasi-cage level expert, but the Underground Exchange had no intention of concealing the news for him. Not to mention that there are many people who know about this matter. The Kumogakure village alone is not the one that the Underground Exchange is willing to offend. Although the strength of Kumogakure village is not as good as before, but the thin dead camel is bigger than the horse, and now Kumogakure village is still one of the most powerful ninja villages in the ninja world. Not only Kumogakure village, but Konoha village, Iwagakure village, etc. also got the news soon, and they all inquired about the Underground Exchange. When they got the exact news, they all became interested in this bounty hunter called the Evil Emperor. After all, this is an existence that can kill Zunying. The Blood King's reputation in the bounty hunter family is very high. After all, he is second only to the existence of the 3 emperors, so the news about his death spread throughout the bounty hunter world not long after, and even Dongshin Yaona evil. The name of the emperor also spread, which let the bounty hunter world know that another emerging king has risen, and he is still stepping on the Blood King's body. Although the evil emperor is still an S-rank bounty hunter, in the eyes of others, he is already an SS-rank existence. Of course, some people are watching a good show. After all, the name of the evil emperor violates the taboo of the 3 emperors. Many people are ready to see the collision between the evil emperor and the 3 emperors, to see if the evil emperor will be like this time. stepping on the corpse of an emperor again to the top of the bounty hunter world. And the evil emperor Dong Shenyao, who was at the cusp of the storm, had already returned to the land of fire at this time. He also knew that the previous incident was a bit big, so he had not accepted the mission during this time, and 443 was wandering in the land of fire after changing his identity. As for returning to Konoha village, he has no plans for this moment. 1010 has passed, because the evil emperor has not appeared for a long time, so things about him have gradually subsided. After all, no matter how sensational an event is, if there is no follow-up event, it is impossible for people to continue to pay attention for too long, a month. After that, everyone's attention has been diverted from the evil emperor. However, Kumogakure village did not. They are still chasing the evil emperor, because if they do not catch the evil emperor, they will be lost. Even Kumogakure village issued a task in the underground exchange. This is an SS level task, which requires us to kill the evil emperor. Seeing that things had gradually calmed down, Dong Shenyao couldn't be idle anymore, and he came to the underground exchange again today. However, this underground exchange was not the one he first went to. It was a small underground exchange with no tavern, only a waiter who was responsible for handing over tasks. I've seen Lord Xie Huang. After seeing the identity token presented by Dong Shenyao, the waiter looked a little terrified. After all, this is an existence that can kill Zunying. Although the strength of the evil emperor has been recognized by the people he is with, the underground exchange has no plans to upgrade his level, so Dong Shenyao can still only receive S-level tasks at most. Chapter 369 1 year. The underground exchange has been established for hundreds of years, and the rules have been perfected and will not be easily changed. Therefore, although the strength of Dong Shenyao has been comparable to or even surpassed some SS-level bounty hunters, the underground exchange will not change the rules and make Dong Shenyao a bounty hunter of SS level directly. And if he wants to advance, Dong Shenyao can only complete 10 tasks of the same level like other people, and then participate in the promotion assessment. S-level task that Tashinyao received to find Hikaru Sakaguchi was not counted. Now he has only completed one S-level task, and then he has to complete 9 S-level tasks before he can participate in the promotion assessment. Tashinyao doesn't care about this. Anyway, one of his bounty hunters is to pass the boring time, and the other is to travel the ninja world, so he doesn't care about when he becomes an SS-level bounty hunter. Soon Dong Shenyao left after taking an S-rank quest, but he didn't know that shortly after he left, the waiter who received him had already spread the news. Kumogakure village. Lord Raikage, there is news. The evil emperor finally appeared. He is now in the country of fire, but he took a mission not long ago. This mission needs to go to the country of secrets. The third generation of Raikage was working, and suddenly a Kumogakure broke in. Originally, Raikage was going to blame his subordinates, but after hearing the information reported by his subordinates, Raikage directly put the matter behind him. Ha ha ha, the evil emperor finally appeared. Immediately send someone to go to the Kingdom of Secrets to hunt down the evil emperor. Yes. Dong Shenyao didn't know that the underground exchange had sold his news to Kumogakure village. It cannot be said that the underground exchange is despicable. After all, there is no affiliation between the bounty hunter and the underground exchange. It can only be said that they use each other. What's the point of betraying a bounty hunter for profit? This time, Dong Shenyao's mission was to kill a missing nin. This missing nin has the strength of an elite Jonin, so the mission was designated as S rank. The Kingdom of Secrets is located between the Kingdom of Fire and the Kingdom of Thunder, and is adjacent to the Kingdom of Tang. It is a small country, and it does not even have a ninja village itself, just like the Kingdom of Chen before. However, the Kingdom of Secrets has always been in a neutral position, neither towards the country of fire, and did not take refuge in the country of thunder. After Dong Shenyao accepted the task, he set off directly. 3 days later, Dong Shenyao successfully killed missing nin and completed the mission. On the 4th day, the 3rd generation Raikage received a message again, and this news made him furious. What? Junichiro is dead. How is it possible? he is a quasi-shadow, and there are 3 elite Jonin with him. Reikage in front of him, his subordinates were apprehensive, but they could only bite the bullet and answer Reikage's question. Lord Reikage, they are all dead, not just Lord Junichiro, but also the 3 elite Jonin who were with him. The bodies have now been transported back. Damn evil emperor! The 3rd generation Reikage roared directly. The 4 Junichiro were sent by Reikage to hunt down the evil emperor, but they did not expect that the evil emperor could not be killed, but Junichiro and the 4 died. This is a quasi-shadow and 3 elite Jonin. Even when Kumogakure village was at its peak, such a huge loss was enough to make them feel distressed, not to mention when the strength of Kumogakure village was declining. Lord Reikage, what should we do next? Continue to hunt down the evil emperor. Chase and kill. How to chase and kill? Even Zunying is not their opponent. Should I, Reikage, go after the evil emperor personally? Reikage growled. It's not that Reikage can't let go of his identity, but that as a shadow of a village, how could he easily leave the village? Send the order down immediately, and the whole village prepares for battle. Ah, Lord Reikage isn't that bad, a mere evil emperor, we don't need to disturb our entire village. The subordinates were a little dumbfounded. You idiot, you didn't prepare for the battle to kill the evil emperor. Do you think the small ninja villages around this situation would miss such a good opportunity? At this time, Reikage was a little speechless about his subordinate. Ah, I see. After saying that, the Kumogakure hurriedly left the summons. A quasi-shadow in Kumogakure village and 3 elite Jonin were damaged in the hands of the evil emperor. The news obviously could not be concealed. It didn't take long for it to spread throughout the ninja world. This time, everyone's attention was once again on the emperor. At the same time many villages are watching the jokes of Kumogakure village. This time, Kumogakure village can be described as stealing chickens without losing money. Not only did they not get their face back, but they were even more embarrassed, and they lost a lot of money. For a time, several ninja villages near the Land of Thunder were eager to move. In their opinion, the Kumogakure village has declined, and their time has come. As long as the Kumogakure village can be destroyed, they will have the hope of replacing it. Who doesn't want to become a ninja world? The Great Ninja Village. For a while, the atmosphere in the ninja world became tense again. Of course, this tension was mainly concentrated around the country of Thunder, and the other major countries were relatively relaxed. And what about Dong Xianyao, the protagonist of this incident? At this time, he was busy with tasks. He did not take the pursuit of Kumogakure village in his eyes, not to mention that he only dispatched a quasi-shadow. Even if Reikage personally went to Dong Xianyao, he would not be afraid. After all, the 3 generations of Reikage are still young and their strength has not yet reached their peak. Dong Xianyao's current strength is not afraid. As for the news that the underground exchange betrayed him, Dong Xianyao did not take revenge. Of course, it was not that he did not retaliate, but for the time being, Dong Xianyao was not ready to take action. After all, he still had to use the underground exchange to take over the mission. After killing the Blood King before, Dong Xianyao took a quest from the system. S-level mission. Become the strongest in the bounty hunter world and surpass the 3 emperors. Mission reward. 20,000 God-making points. The reward of 20,000 God creation points is not too small even when the war function is not turned off. Dong Xianyao will naturally not let it go. Therefore, before this task is completed, Dong Xianyao will not start with the underground exchange, and even he will take action to maintain the underground exchange. In the blink of an eye, a year has passed, and many things have happened in this year. First of all, Dong Xianyao has completed 8 S-level tasks one after another. In addition to the previous 2, he now has 10 S-level tasks. It has been considered completed, and the next step is the promotion assessment. Once passed, he can become an SS-level bounty hunter. There was a battle between several small ninja villages and Kumogakure villages. This battle happened very suddenly, but it ended very quickly, and at the same time let the ninja world really see the powerful strength of Kumogakure village. Chapter 370 Promotion Test begins. Just 6 months ago, several small ninja villages joined forces to attack Kumogakure village. At the beginning, many people thought that the two sides would fight very fiercely. Although most people were optimistic about Kumogakure village and believed that Kumogakure village would win, but in their opinion Kumogakure village should have a tragic victory. But the final result was somewhat unexpected. Kumogakure village did win, but the process was beyond everyone's expectations. The two sides only fought one game, and Kumogakure village defeated the enemy. At that time, the 3 generations of Reikage were invincible on the battlefield. No one in the small ninja village could stop him. Even if 3 quasi-shadows stood up to stop Reikage in the end, the final result was that 2 of the 3 quasi-shadows died and 1 was seriously injured. And if the seriously injured Quenying hadn't run fast, I'm afraid he would have died too. After solving the 3 quasi-shadows, Reikage joined the battlefield again, and finally directly led the Kumogakure village to defeat the allied forces of these small ninja villages. This battle established the status of the 3 generations of Reikage ninja powerhouses in one fell swoop, which also allowed everyone to see the difference between Shounen village and Da ninja village. Without cage-level powerhouses, Shao ninja village could not challenge Da ninja village at all. Status. After the Kumogakure village defeated the enemy with thunder, no one in the ninja world dared to underestimate the Kumogakure village. However, some people were curious and did not know how the Kumogakure village would deal with the evil emperor. After all, the evil emperor 343 had beaten Kumogakure, the face of the village. But what makes people strange is that the Kumogakure village seems to have forgotten about this matter. After defeating the enemy, it continues to recuperate, and has no intention of chasing the evil emperor at all. Some people don't understand why Kumogakure village is like this, but some smart people see it. This is Kumogakure village's fear of the evil emperor's strength. As for Kumogakure village's easy defeat of his opponent, Dong Shenyao was not surprised at all, because the 3rd generation Reikage is a ruthless man with 1 enemy and 10,000. Peak, but beheading Quenying is still effortless. At this time, the ninja world has returned to calm again, and almost all countries are rehabilitating or developing their own strength. In this year, Dong Shenyao has returned to Konoha village only a handful of times. Anyway, there is his land in the village. The clone is there, and no one will find anything abnormal. At this time, Dong Shenyao had just received the promotion task, and was about to set off at this time. This time, the promotion mission that Dong Shenyao received was an SS-level mission, and the mission requirement was to kill a Quenying. This quasi-shadow is a missing nin from Iwagakure village, but at this time he has already gone to the land of water. Now the strength of Iwagakure village has been greatly reduced, and there is not so much energy to hunt down a quasi-shadow, so this task is put on the underground exchange. The country of water is unfamiliar to most people in the ninja world. Many people have never seen the sea in their lives, but Dong Shenyao has been to the country of water before, and he has done a great thing. From the old place to travel, Dong Shenyao has nothing to remember. Standing on the seaside, feeling the sea breeze blowing, Dong Shenyao felt calm in his heart. During this year, he was not in vain. Apart from taking some tasks, he also did not let go of his cultivation. At this time, Dong Shenyao was already 12 years old. For ordinary ninjas, it was just the golden age for strength improvement, but in fact, Dong Shenyao had already entered the golden stage when he was 10 years old, so during this year, the strength has increased a lot. Now, even if Dong Shenyao doesn't use the earth bloodline, the pupil technique or the 8 inner gates, his strength is comparable to the peak of the peak. The power of a fight. As his strength increased, Dong Shenyao became more and more free to do whatever he wanted. I haven't seen Tsunade for a long time. After this promotion mission is over, let's go back to the village. Thinking of this, Dong Shenyao exerted his strength. Whoosh! I saw that his body flew out like an arrow from the string, and when he fell, he had already come to the sea. Crack! His feet landed on the water, but Dong Shenyao's body did not sink, but stood on the surface of the sea, and then he flew straight to the depths of the sea. The underground exchange has branches all over the ninja world. Even the relatively closed water country is no exception, and such a wide range of branches also means that the information of the underground exchange is very developed. It can be said that even the 5 major countries of the ninja it is also slightly inferior to the underground exchanges in terms of intelligence. In this country, the intelligence of the ninja village is indeed powerful, but the intelligence in other countries is much worse than the underground exchange. Although Dong Shenyao's mission target this time is a quasi-shadow, and because it is missing Nin, his whereabouts are hidden, but he still has not concealed the underground exchange. On the mission scroll, the location of this missing Nin described in great detail. A day later, Dong Shenyao came to an island. This place already belongs to the country of water. There are some people living on this small island, and these people belong to the country of water. The island is not big, only the size of 3 football fields, so the population is very sparse, with only a dozen families. As soon as he came up, Dong Shenyao had already opened Byakugan. Under Byakugan, everything on the entire island could be seen. Soon Dong Shenyao found his mission target, a man who was fishing at the seaside. "You are very laid back." A middle-aged man was fishing on the beach when suddenly a man's voice sounded not far behind him. "Of course, I don't need to perform tasks here, and I don't need to fight every day, so I'm naturally relaxed." The man didn't look back. "Are you ready to take it easy?" "Of course not," said the man suddenly shot. I saw the man flick the fishing rod in his hand, and the fishing line immediately spared the man and pulled it behind him. Facing the incoming fishing line, Dong Shenyao didn't move, and the line was drawn on his body. Bang! The smoke was angry, and Dong Shenyao disappeared. Shadow clone. The man frowned, then jumped up quickly, looking around, looking for the trace of Dong Shenyao. Whoa! The water splashed everywhere, and Dong Shenyao jumped up from the water. Kaden Fire Style, Dragon Fire Bullet. Woo! As soon as it came up, it was a high-level Kaden Fire Style ninjutsu. The endless fire shrouded the man, but soon a water dragon jumped out of the flame. Shrouded in water vapor for hundreds of meters at a time. Facing this situation, Dong Shenyao smiled, because this situation was too favorable for him. Whoosh! Dong Shenyao exerted force under his feet, and jumped directly into the water vapor. Chapter 371 SS Level, Back to the Village. The middle-aged man used Sweden water style to resist Dong Shenyao's Kaden fire style, as actually intentional, on the one hand for defense, on the other hand to create water vapor to block the opponent's vision, which can also give him a breather. After all, Dong Shenyao had just seized the opportunity, and now the middle-aged man is somewhat passive. It's just that how would he know that Dong Shenyao owns Byakugan? If he knew, I'm afraid he wouldn't do it if he was killed. Bang! Dong Shenyao punched the middle-aged man directly on the cheek. The punch was extremely powerful. When the man flew out, a few kiba teeth mixed with blood fell out of his mouth. Dong Shenyao's power was unforgiving, and before the man landed, his ninjutsu was ready. Futon Wind Style Net. Woo! The wind howled, and the wind turned into a large net and enveloped the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was in midair, unable to dodge at all, and was directly shrouded in the wind net, but then only heard a bang. The smoke was angry, and then the man disappeared, replaced by a branch. Seeing that the man left using the avatar technique, Dong Shenyao did not panic, because with Byakugan's 360-degree detection ability, he had already discovered the man's whereabouts, but Dong Shenyao did not show it, but pretended to be did not find generally searched around. Doden Earth Style Decapitation in the Heart. Suddenly the ground under Dong Shenyao's feet cracked, and then an arm protruded out of the ground, grabbed his leg directly, and then the arm exerted force, pulling Dong Shenyao's whole body into the soil. Shenyao's whole body was not buried, only his head was exposed. Die! The middle-aged man had come out from the ground, waving the kunai in his hand and stabbing it in the head of Dong Shenyao. PFF'd. In an instant, Kuludong pierced his head, and blood splashed, but the next moment. Bang! Damn it, it's Shadow Clone again. The man couldn't help cursing. At the same time, he didn't know well, so he hurriedly prepared to dodge, but it was too late. Bang! Out several shuriken. PFF'd. All the shuriken hit the man's back, and blood was gushing out. After being injured, the man did not dare to stay, and hurriedly ran towards the sea not far away, apparently preparing to escape. Where to run? This is his mission goal, and Dong Shenyao naturally won't let him run away. As Dong Shenyao's mind moved, the ground shook and cracks opened. The shaking ground, coupled with the sudden cracks, seriously affected the middle-aged man's speed. It didn't take long for Dong Shenyao to catch up. Seeing this, the middle-aged man could only stop and give up and continue to escape. Immediately, the two were fighting. The man was not Dong Shenyao's opponent, and he was injured, but it took more than 10 rounds. PFF'd. Blood splattered, and kunai pierced into the middle-aged man's heart, and then Dong Shenyao hurriedly dodged to the side, but his body was not stained with blood. After beheading the middle-aged man, Dong Shenyao didn't waste any time. He first erased the traces of the battle here, then sealed the middle-aged man's body, turned and left the island. It was not until Dong Shenyao left for half an hour that the people from the island dared to come over to check, but unfortunately they found nothing. After returning to the country of fire, Dong Shenyao directly submitted the task, and after confirming the completion of the task, Dong Shenyao was officially promoted to SS rank bounty hunter. Congratulations, you have become the 6th SS level bounty hunter from today. The waiter said respectfully. Were originally 8 SS bounty hunters, 2 of whom had already died during the Ninja War, and 1 Blood King who was killed by Dong Shenyao himself, so now he is the 6th SS rank bounty hunter. Past year, Dong Shenyao has also dealt with several other SS rank bounty hunters. Although those people were angry with Dong Shenyao's name of the evil emperor, they were afraid of his strength, so there was no conflict between the two sides. As for SSS level bounty hunters, Dong Shenyao has never met them, because people of this level have rarely appeared in the bounty hunter world, and they have already stood at the top of the bounty hunter world. Some people even speculate that they are cage level masters in various villages, so few people can see SSS level bounty hunters. The promotion was successful. This time, Dong Shenyao did not rush to take up the task, but left the underground exchange directly, and then secretly returned to Konoha village. After putting away the earth clone, Dong Shenyao absorbed its memory and found that nothing had happened in the village in recent months. It has been more than 3 months since Ta Shenyao returned to Konoha village last time, but now the ninja world is in a peaceful state, and there is nothing to alarm Ta Shenyao. Ninja school doesn't need to worry too much about Ta Shenyao. After all, there are those teachers. And Dark Blade doesn't have any tasks right now, and they are still cultivating newcomers in the daily life, so there is no need for Dong Shenyao to ask. The only thing Dong Shenyao remembered was Tsunade. In the past year, Tsunade also looked for Dong Shenyao, but because he was in the village as a clone of the earth, Dong Shenyao did not dare to get too close with Tsunade, for fear of being discovered flaws, but fortunately Tsunade often had to perform tasks, and with most of the time Dong Shenyao was together was spent in training, so until now, Tsunade has not found anything. At this time, from the memory of the Earth Avatar, Dong Shenyao learned that Tsunade had just returned to the village yesterday. He couldn't sit still and quickly found Tsunade. Tsunade at a training ground in the village. Tsunade, are you the only one? Dong Shenyao asked curiously. Yo, you're here. Tsunade was overjoyed when he saw that it was Dong Shenyao, and then stopped practicing. Where are the others? Dong Shenyao asked. I don't know either. Orochimaru and Jiraiya don't know what's wrong with them. They have been very mysterious in recent months. They often disappear for no reason. I asked Mr. Sarutobi, and he didn't say anything, just so I don't have to worry about it. Said Orochimaru, and the two of them found their own opportunity. Tsunade said a little depressed. Oh, that's actually the case. Dong Shenyao's eyes lit up when he heard the words. What exactly is Orochimaru's chance? Ta Shenyao is not sure, but Jiraiya's chance is too guesswork. It was said in the original book that Jiraiya has always been the tail of the crane, but she was such an idiot, and finally she was able to become one of the Sannin, possessing the strength of cage level, all of which are inseparable from the Toad clan of Mount Myoboku, so the chance of Jiraiya, undoubtedly, he met the Toad family. Chapter 372 Developing. In Dong Xianyao's view, Jiraiya's first half of his life is very similar to the protagonists in those novels. Since there is no psychic beast yet, Jiraiya uses psychic techniques indiscriminately, causing him to have an accident. No one knows what this unexpected result is, and the same goes for Sarutobi Hiruzen, which could be good or bad. As for Jiraiya, he came to the psychic world unknowingly, and he also happened to help Toad Wentai, which made him get the friendship of the psychic beast Toad clan, plus the prophecy of the big Toad fairy, and finally made Jiraiya and Toad the clan signed a contract, not only got a powerful psychic beast, but also after the training of the Toad clan, his strength quickly became stronger, and this was one of the later Sannin, the Toad fairy Jiraiya. Jiraiya can have such a powerful strength. In addition to its own efforts, the Toad family is the biggest contributor. It can be said that Jiraiya's life in the first half of his life was brilliant, and it was a very inspirational drama in which the Diosi counterattacked and reached the peak of life. The only pity is that he didn't marry Bai Fumei, otherwise he might really be the protagonist. There are several important roles in the promotion of the Hokage world plot. In addition to the hidden boss Uchiha Madara and Black Zetsu, Jiraiya's promotion of the plot is comparable to that of Danzo, and is a very important character. The early stage, boss Uzumaki Nagato was related to Jiraiya and was his apprentice. Later, Uchiha Obito could also be regarded as Jiraiya's apprentice and grandson, and Naruto was taught by Jiraiya himself. If Shimura Danzo promotes the plot by creating tragedies one by one, then Jiraiya promotes the development of the plot by teaching each apprentice. At this time, after learning that Jiraiya may have signed a contract with the Toad family, Dong Xianyao knew that the prelude to the plot was about to begin. To put it in a mysterious way, the gears of fate have begun to turn. In the original book, after Jiraiya completed his task, he received his lunch with honor, but now that there is Dong Xianyao, everything is hard to say. Even Dong Xianyao himself doesn't know if he will rescue Jiraiya in the future, and he is not even sure that Jiraiya will be in danger like the original. The future is unknown. Even Dong Xianyao, who knows the plot as a traveler, has changed the world because of his appearance. Although he can't see it now, with the passage of time, his feelings for this world have changed. The impact will get bigger and bigger. Even Dong Xianyao doubts that if this continues, the plot of the original work will not appear. Of course, these are just his wild thoughts, and no one knows what will happen. And Tsunade finally met each other, so naturally they wouldn't waste too much time on Orochimaru and Jiraiya. After briefly talking about the two of them, Tsunade changed the subject and started talking about his own. As for Dong Xianyao, there is nothing to say. For the time being, he is not going to tell Tsunade that he is a bounty hunter. Doesn't believe in Tsunade, but Tsunade is still small and the city is shallow. Even if he hides it from Xianyao, who knows if Sarutobi Hiruzen will find out. After all, although Sarutobi Hiruzen is kind, he is also a cunning, a fox-like person, otherwise how could he suppress Danzo for decades? Original work. Danzo always wanted to seize the position of Hokage, but when Sarutobi Hiruzen was still alive, Danzo could only hide in the darkness and did not dare to come forward. Totally a joke. A few Anbuta assassinate Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is a cage-level master, as a joke at all. Even Dong Xianyao guessed that most of the things that Danzo did that he considered to be secret were known to most of Sarutobi Hiruzen, just because of the scruples of his friendship with Danzo, and Danzo did indeed do a lot for Konoha village, and Sarutobi Hiruzen has self-confidence, can suppress him, so he will turn one eye and close the other, as if nothing happened. Fortunately, Sarutobi Hiruzen is even worse than Senju Tobarama in terms of cruelty, so Dong Xianyao is far less jealous of him than Senju Tobarama. Dong Xianyao stayed in the village for 3 days. During these 3 days, Tsunade did not perform any tasks. She was with Dong Xianyao every day. Of course, she did not leave her practice behind, and even Dongshinade obtained what he got in the ruins. The strengthening potion took out some and gave it to Tsunade to increase her strength. After feeling the benefits of the strengthening potion, Tsunade directly gave Tashinya a hot kiss. Originally, the two of them were tired of being together, and even Dongshinyao didn't want to leave the village, but on the third day, Tsunade told him that his grandmother Mito was going to guide her to practice for a period of time, during which time she couldn't have anyone. See, so the two will be separated for a while. Yao, I can't bear you. Tsunade pouted as he leaned against Dongshin Yao's arms. Okay, Tsunade, we are still young, and we will spend more time together in the future. Since your grandma wants to instruct you to practice, you should study hard. Well, I see, I will definitely become stronger, and then I will be able to perform missions with you, Tsunade said with a look of anticipation. I'm waiting. The next day, Dongshinyao didn't see Tsunade again, and without Tsunade's concern, Dongshinyao left the village again in boredom. Of course, he did not forget to leave an earth clone as a cover. This time, Dongshinyao was not in a hurry to perform the task, and quietly came to the country of Chen, and had a good time with Asuka, who had become a famous name. Of course, because he was still young, Dongshinyao didn't really ask for Asuka. At most, he just made some more intimate actions, but the last step has not yet been carried out. Of course, Dongshinyao did not patronize and linger with Asuka in the kingdom of Chen, but he did not forget to build a ninja village for the kingdom of Chen. The orphans that Asuka was looking for have been cultivated for more than 2 years. After investigating, Dongshinyao found that some orphans already had the strength of genin. Of course, the number was relatively small, and most orphans were still weak. Genin for more than 2 years, whether it is fast or slow. Now the ninja school in Konoha village has only 3 years of courses. When graduating 0.6, there will be some people with genin strength every year. Others may not be genin, but they are all close to genin. Don't think that those who graduated from the ninja school and become official ninjas have the strength of genin. Most of them are impossible. After all, not everyone is a genius. One only studied for 3 years. Only 6 or 7 years old a young child has the power of genin, which is obviously not something ordinary children can do. Therefore, most genins follow jonin to perform tasks after graduation, and then their strength improves little by little. Basically, it is normal to have genin's strength before the age of 12. Of course, these people will have very limited achievements in the future. Chunin is already one of them. The limit. If you want to develop, you must at least have the strength of Chunin when you are about 12 years old. Chapter 373 2 years later. There are indeed geniuses in the world, not to mention Dongshinyao, Tsunade and Orochimaru are all geniuses, but geniuses are few after all. The world is still mostly ordinary people, and most of the ninjas in a village are ordinary people. The standard of an ordinary ninja is to have the strength of genin before the age of 12. This is also the graduation standard of the ninja school in Konoha village when the original work began. It is stricter than it is now, but it is also safe. Now, it is very simple to want to graduate. After all, Konoha village is currently lacking ninjas. However, due to the young age and poor strength when graduating, many people will die prematurely. Guiding jonin can't protect you forever. In general, after a guiding jonin leads a team for a year or two, the two sides will separate. After all, guiding jonin is also very busy. At this time, the team needs to perform tasks by itself, although only D-level and C-level missions are also dangerous, because C-level missions sometimes require fighting. Although the enemy is not a ninja, 15 does not mean that there is no danger. Even people who have reached genin strength are facing too many people. There are also dangers when the bandit is not enough, not to mention that most of these people are less than genin. Therefore, the death rate of genin in Konoha village is not low now. Fortunately, because Konoha village defeated Iwagakure village and Sunagakure village this time, it became famous for a while, attracting many people to settle in the village. Now the end of World War I, it has only been more than a year, but the population of Konoha village has increased by thousands, which has brought a lot of new energy to Konoha. Therefore, although the death rate of genin is not small, the number has always been large. In general, if ninjas do not fall, they are qualified to have genin strength before the age of 12, so they can reach chunin when they are about 18 years old, but such people have limited future achievements, and finally reach their peak at the age of 30. Almost able to have a special jonin level strength, and if you are lucky, you can reach jonin. Of course, all of this has a premise, that is, don't fall. Genin in 3 years can be considered a little genius. If you don't fall down in the future, the chance of becoming a jonin is 80 to 90%. As for an elite jonin, this is not the case. It's easy to say, after all, out of 10 jonins, only 1 elite jonin can be produced. Dong Shenyao stayed in the country of Chen for 2 months. During this period, in addition to accompanying Asuka, Dong Shenyao also cultivated these orphans. For this, he also paid some strengthening potions. Of course, the amount used was not large. After all, the strength of these orphans was still low, and there were not many strengthening medicines that could be absorbed. After a drop of strengthening medicine was diluted, it was enough for more than 10 orphans. After the tempering of the strengthening agent, a lot of genin was produced in 2 time. I have to say that the effect of strengthening potions is really powerful, but unfortunately this is a non-renewable resource, so every time I use Dong Shenyao, I feel distressed. However, although the potion is very precious, Dong Shenyao is not too stingy, at least for Asuka. Under the cultivation of the potion, Asuka's ninja level has reached chunin at this time, unfortunately because there is not much combat experience. So the actual combat power is not as good as chunin. No, although this kind of enhanced potion that requires alien plants can't be made, I can use other drugs instead, even if the effect is a little worse. Seeing the effect of this potentiation potion is so good, Dong Shenyao was moved. Although the Hokage world also has some medicinal bath recipes that can speed up the ninja's cultivation, most of these are only effective for genin and chunin. As for the stronger ninja, these medicinal baths have little effect. Because the Hokage world does not have it, there is no overly powerful medicinal bath formula in the system. So now it is up to Dong Shenyao to study it himself. It seems that we need to get more pharmacists. Dong Shenyao doesn't consider himself a research-oriented person, so he can only find other people to do this kind of thing. Do what he thought of, Dong Shenyao left the country of Chen directly, and came to the country of medicine again to start kidnapping. No, he started to hire a pharmacist. Although these people will be brainwashed by Dong Shenyao in the end, they are not kidnappings, because after brainwashing, these people will automatically go with Dong Shenyao. And the so-called brainwashing is just to change their memory, adding Dong Shenyao to it as the memory of their master. After dealing with the pharmacist, Dong Shenyao started his career as a bounty hunter, but he still had a system task to complete. However, the final result disappointed Dong Shenyao a little. SS-level tasks already belong to high-end tasks. There were not many tasks at this level, and even fewer could be completed by Dong Shenyao. Many of the tasks are to kill the quasi-shadows of various ninja villages. These quasi-shadows are not missing nin. Most of them stay in the village and are not so easy to kill, so Dong Shenyao did not rush to pick them up. In addition, there are some protection tasks. This kind of task is more troublesome, so it is also excluded by Dong Shenyao. These 2 types of tasks are removed. There are really not many tasks left, so Dong Shenyao often it took Shenyao several months to receive an SS-level mission, which greatly delayed the speed of Dong Shenyao becoming an SSS-level mission. 700. At this time, Dong Shenyao regretted a little. Now the SS-level task is so troublesome. After becoming a SSS-level bounty hunter in the future, wouldn't it be more difficult to upgrade the level? Of course, Dong Shenyao can also do S-level tasks, but 10 S-level tasks are equal to 1 SS-level task. As time passes by 1010, Dong Shenyao goes to perform tasks in addition to cultivating every day. Of course, he also walks around from time to time to see the scenery of the genin world. Occasionally he will also go back to Konoha village, but unfortunately, Tsunade it has never appeared again, apparently still practicing with grandma. In the blink of an eye, More than 2 years have passed, and the time has come to the 23rd year of Konoha. On this day, Tashinyao returned to the village, this time because Tsunade's younger brother Senju Nawaki was going to school soon. Senju Nawaki is the grandson of Senju Hashirama and the real prince of Konoha village. Although the Hokage of Konoha village is now Sarutobi Hiruzen, no one will look down on Senju Nawaki's identity, because everyone knows that as long as Senju Nawaki grows up, then Hokage's position will be his in the future. And Tsunade, and his identity as the principal of the ninja school, Senju Nawaki is going to school, and Dong Shenyao naturally wants to come back to see. Chapter 374 Entrance Ceremony. Principal, these are the registration lists. How do you think these people's classes are divided? In the principal's office of ninja school, a teacher in charge of admissions handed a stack of lists to Dong Shenyao. Looking at the thick stack, Dong Shenyao had a big head. With the continuous development, the reputation of the ninja school is getting bigger and bigger, and the population of Konoha village has increased, so more students come to the ninja school, and even the children of some big families have entered the ninja school to study. You go down first, and I will hand over the list to you after I have assigned it. Dong Shenyao waved his hand. Yes. The teacher didn't stay for a long time, and left immediately after giving a salute. With so many lists in front of him, Dong Shenyao certainly didn't come all by himself. After the teacher left, he directly divided 2 shadow clones to help him. Oh, isn't this from the Nara clan? This is the Akamichi clan. Hey, I didn't expect that there were even members of the Hyuga family. Hyuga Hazashi, isn't this Hyuga Neji's father, the son of the current head of the Hyuga family? I didn't expect him to come too. Looking at the list in his hand, Dong Shenyao was a little surprised. The Hyuga family are the real giants of Konoha village. Tashinyao didn't expect it to be so fast. The Hyuga family also arranged for their people to come to the ninja school. But when he thinks of the identity of Hyuga Hazashi's branch, Dong Shenyao also understands. After all, he is not main clan, and he will not be able to inherit the position of the patriarch in the future, so it is okay to arrange to go to school. Dong Shenyao guesses that Hyuga Hiyashi will probably stay in the family, taught by the strong in the family. Putting Hyuga Hazashi's list aside, Tashinya continued to read. Everyone Dong Shenyao will take a careful look at his life experience, and then make arrangements. This is. When Dong Shenyao saw a list again, he was stunned for a moment. The people on the list surprised him. I didn't expect this person to appear at this time. Dong Shenyao was a little surprised. Although he had seen Hokage Ninja, he didn't know much about the experiences of some of the characters in it. Except for those main characters, the others were Dongshin. Yao knows their names and identities at most. As for more details, he is not very clear. After all, he just watched the anime and did not study the information in detail. Shaking his head, Dong Shenyao put the list aside and continued to read. Soon he saw Senju Nawaki. Looking at the photo of Senju Nawaki on the list, Dong Shenyao sighed a little. Time flies so fast. Nawaki is already 4 years old. Although the minimum entry age for ninja school is 3 years old, Nawaki didn't go to school so early, because Haruko, a mother, was reluctant, so it was only a year late, but it was nothing, because Nawaki had already started refining when he was 3 years old. Chakra is gone, so although I study at night for a year, it is not bad. Looking at the bright smile on Nawaki's face, Dong Shenyao couldn't help thinking of Senju Yiya. The smiles of both of them were so sunny. Hey, father-in-law, why did you say you died so early? Knew that this was not the time to sigh, so he quickly put down Senju Nawaki's list and continued to check other people's lists. Even with Shadow Clone's help, it took Dong Shenyao half a day to sort these freshmen into classes. There are more than 100 freshmen who signed up this time, and Dong Shenyao divides these freshmen into 4 classes according to 30 students. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed, and the registration of new students officially began on this day. This day is not the official start of the school day. It is just to let the freshmen familiarize themselves with the environment. The new semester will start in 2 days. Early this morning, many children were accompanied by their parents to the ninja school. Most of these children were 3 or 4 years old, and occasionally they could see 5-year-olds. As for 6-year-olds, none of them. After sending their children to ninja school, the parents withdrew from the school at the behest of their teachers, and the children who were about to enter school played on the playground inside the school. These children are all from Konoha village, and many of them know each other, so they all get together in groups of 3 and 5 to fight. The time came to 8 o'clock, and the registration of freshmen started. Boom, boom, boom. A melodious bell rang, and the children on the playground fell silent unconsciously. Then, Dong Shenyao, who was dressed in a death tyrant outfit, with a white cloak and a shadow-cutting knife on his waist and crotch, accompanied by a group of teachers, walked from the teaching building. Inside came out. At this time, Dong Shenyao was already 15 years old. Although he was still not an adult at this age, because of the many things he had experienced and his taller appearance, to outsiders, he was no different from an adult, with a mature look on his body. Temperament, tall and tall, not like a 15-year-old boy at all. As soon as Dong Shenyao came out, he immediately attracted the attention of all the children in the playground. Wow, it's so cool. Many children looked at Dong Shenyao with envious eyes. Welcome all the children to the ninja school. From today, you are a member of the ninja school, and you will also become ninja reservists. As long as you graduate from here, you will be a ninja. How is it? Are you looking forward to it? Quote. Dong Shenyao's remarks said that many children were full of enthusiasm, wishing to graduate early to become a real ninja. As the mainstream of this world, ninjas are highly sought after, and the dream of many people is to become a powerful ninja. If you want to become a ninja, you will have to work hard in the future. If you don't work hard, you will not be able to graduate, and you will not be able to become a ninja by then. Come on, children. As the words of Dong Shenyao fell, many children clenched their fists and secretly vowed to study hard. Of course, it is unknown how long this vow can be maintained. Facing a group of children, Dong Shenyao didn't say much, but after a few simple words of encouragement, he ended his speech. Okay, I'll stop here, and add it to the class. Now I'm reading from the first class. If you hear the name, please come to the front. Nara and the Horse. Akamichi Keiichi. Quote. Hyuga Hazashi. Quote. The people whose names were called by Dong Shenyao walked out of the crowd one by one and stood in front of Dong Shenyao, and soon he read the names of the 30 students in the first class. Okay, everyone is here, you all come with me. After speaking, Dong Shenyao walked towards the teaching building with 30 students. When Dong Shenyao and his party disappeared into the building, another teacher came out and started to read the list of members of the second class. Chapter 375 I am a glorious people's teacher. After Dong Shenyao gathered the students from class 1, he didn't care about the next thing, he directly took the students from class 1 into the teaching building. Compared with when Dong Shenyao was in school, the ninja school has changed a lot at this time. Since Dong Shenyao took over as the principal, he has been organizing people to build new teaching buildings. The teaching building that was suspended due to the war was completed more than a year ago. Now the old building has been abandoned, and the students are using the new teaching building. The classrooms for the freshmen had already been arranged, and the first-year classroom was on the first floor. Soon, under the guidance of Dong Shenyao, the group entered a classroom. Classmates, this is where your classes will take place in the future. Now you can find your own seat and take a seat. Dong Shenyao's voice fell, and a group of children rushed to their seats. After a fight between dragons and tigers, the 30 students finally settled down and got their seats. Very well, it seems that you have all chosen your own positions, so in the next 3 years, you should not arbitrarily change positions, is it clear? Listen clearly, the students shouted in unison. Very good, then I will introduce myself first. My name is Dong Shenyao, and I will be your teacher from now on. You can call me Teacher Yao or Teacher Dong Shenyao 260. Of course, you can call me teacher directly. Okay. That's right, Dong Xinyao has become a teacher. After hearing about his decision at the beginning, many teachers at the ninja school were taken aback, thinking that it was because they did not do well that the principal was dissatisfied, so they directly became teachers themselves. In the end, after some side-by-side attacks, they got a dumbfounded answer. That is, the reason why Dong Xinyao wanted to be a teacher was because he was bored and was ready to pass the time, which made the teachers do not know what to say. However, Dong Xinyao is the principal, and he is the biggest at ninja school, so others can't say anything about his decision, so they can only obey. Looking at the students below, Dong Xinyao was excited. Haha, I didn't expect that one day I could become a glorious people's teacher. Ah no, a glorious ninja teacher. Hey, children, you have to be obedient. Looking at Dong Xinyao, the children below did not know that their miserable days were coming. It's the first time we meet today. I'm not very familiar with you all, so let's introduce yourself. Let's start with this classmate. After speaking, Dong Xinyao pointed to a small boy in the first row to the left of the teacher. Boy. Being pointed out by Dong Xinyao, the boy quickly stood up. Hello, Teacher Dongshan, I. The boy was so nervous that he couldn't utter a complete sentence for a while. Don't be nervous, kids, take a deep breath and take your time. Hearing this, the little boy took a deep breath according to what Dong Xinyao said, and he was not so nervous, and then continued. My name is Keisuke Ida, I'm 3 years old today, please give me some advice. After that, the little boy sat down. Go, but before he could breathe a sigh of relief, Dong Xinyao called him up again. Kingsuk, you are introducing a little more detail, such as what you like, what you hate, and what dreams do you have in the future. Oh, although he was a little nervous, since it was a teacher, Ida Keisuke could only answer. My favorite is meat, I hate chili, and my future dream is to become a powerful ninja. Well, very good, next. This time Dong Xinyao did not continue to embarrass the little boy. Soon, these students made introductions one by one. These first-class students are specially selected by Dong Xinyao. Most of them are members of the ninja family, just because they are not the core characters, like Hyuga Hazashi, not main clan, so they come to the ninja school. Soon it was a little girl's turn. This little girl has long black hair, her eyes are constantly wandering, and she looks very clever. When she stood up, she did not introduce herself directly like others, but asked about Dong Xinyao. Teacher, you just introduced your name, you haven't introduced what you like, what you hate in your dreams. Hey, this classmate wants to know. Dong Xinyao didn't expect this little girl to have such courage. Although the children in the Hokage world are relatively precocious, they are still young after all, so most of them are still more afraid of the teacher. Where are the others? Dare to ask such a question. Dong Xinyao had seen everyone's photos before, so at this time he had recognized the identity of the little girl who spoke, which made him interested. Teacher, I want to know. The girl looked at Dong Xinyao with a look of anticipation. At the same time, the others were also staring at Dong Xinyao, waiting for his answer. Well, since you want to know, I'll tell you. I don't want to say what I like, and I don't want to say what I hate. My dream is to naturally become the strongest in the ninja world. What? After hearing Dong Shenyao's answer, the little girl pouted. After working for a long time, except for my dream, I still haven't said anything else. Okay, little sister, it's your turn. Dong Shenyao smiled. Hearing this, the little girl rolled her eyes and had an idea. My name is Uchiha Makoto. I don't want to say anything I like, and I don't want to tell you what I hate. My dream is to become the strongest female ninja in the ninja world. Uchiha Makoto gave Dong Shenyao a provocative look. Dong Shenyao was a little speechless. He did not expect that the gentle and virtuous Uchiha clan chief's wife in the future would have such a character when she was young. Sure enough, the women's college has changed 18, and the Uchiha Makoto when I was young is too different from when I grew up. Ta Shenyao was surprised when he saw the list of Uchiha Makoto before. Although Uchiha Makoto did not appear in the original book many times, as the mother of Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Sasuke, her reputation is not small. It's fine if you don't want to talk, Makoto-san, sit down first, the next one. Although Uchiha Makoto is a character who appeared in the original book, Dong Xinyao didn't say anything to her at this time. After all, he is already in the first class. The teacher has come to Japan for a long time, and the two of them will have time to get along in the future. Even if the introduction time of one person is only about 1 minute, more than half an hour has passed after everyone introduced it. Very well, I'll be here today. After you go home, read the book carefully, preview the course, and remember that the class will begin 2 days later. Don't forget it. After speaking, Dong Xinyao turned around and left the classroom. Chapter 376 Future Brother-in-Law. After all, it was the first day we met, so Dong Xinyao didn't stay after explaining the matter. He turned around and left the classroom. These students didn't want to stay any longer. As soon as Dong Xinyao left, they rushed out of the room and ran out of the school in a hurry. As soon as they left the school, some left with their parents, and some parents did not come, so they went home in groups of 3 or 5. Unlike the others, Naoki was walking home alone because no one in the class was on the same path as him. Not long after walking, Naoki suddenly stopped because someone stopped him at this time. Don't get me wrong, it's not someone doing something to Naoki. Although the Senju clan is now in decline and the population is sparse, no one dares to provoke the Senju clan in Konoha village, not to mention that Naoki is the grandson of Senju Hashirama, so no one dares to provoke him. Little Naoki, we meet again. Looking at Naoki, who is less than 1 meter tall in front of him, Dong Xinyao greeted with a smile. Because of Tsunade, Toshinyo has been to Senju's house several times, so Naoki still knows Toshinyo. Hello, Brother Yao. Naoki is still a child of a big family, of course, because he is not very familiar with Dong Xinyao. Naoki, are you going home? That's right, I'm going to your house, let's go together. After speaking, Dong Xinyao took his small hand and walked towards Senju Hashirama's mansion, regardless of whether Naoki answered or not. Children in the Hokage world are relatively precocious. Although Naoki is only 4 years old, he also knows that Dong Xinyao has a close relationship with his sister, so he did not resist, but he did not speak, just followed Dong Xinyao silently. Naoki, you will go to school in the future. Although I am your teacher, there are so many people in a class. I can't take care of it, so you can ask me privately if you have any questions in the future. Naoki, as Tsunade's younger brother, the future brother-in-law of Dong Xinyao, has such a relationship, Dong Xinyao naturally has to take good care of it, otherwise Tsunade finds out, so don't blame him. Thank you Brother Yao. You're welcome, your sister and I have a very good relationship. Dong Xinyao smiled. It's not as simple as being nice. Naoki looked at Dongshin with a look of inquiry. You're a little devil, this kind of thing is not something that a child like you should care about. Said, Dong Xinyao reached out and rubbed Naoki's hair, and suddenly Naoki's originally neat hair was messed up. Don't do this if I hate it, and Brother Yao, you're not too old, why do you say I'm young? Naoki said dissatisfiedly. At least I am your teacher now, of course I have the right to say that you are young. Hearing that, Naoki immediately lowered his head and stopped talking, because it is not an exaggeration to say that he is his elder, just because of Tsunade's identity, so the two are on the same level. Soon the two came to Senju Hashirama's mansion. Hello, Auntie Chunzi. After seeing Chunzi, Dong Xinyao bowed respectfully. After all, this is his future mother-in-law. Yao, you're here, please come in. Chunzi Shifen let Dong Xinyao in enthusiastically, and then made tea to entertain Dong Xinyao. Yao, how did you come with Naoki? Haruko asked curiously. Waiting for Dong Xinyao to answer, Naoki answered first. Mom, Brother Yao is the teacher of our class. Ah, Haruko was a little surprised, because she knew that Toshinyao was the headmaster of the ninja school. Seeing the look of doubt in Chunzi's eyes, Dong Shenyao quickly explained. Aunt Chunzi, the job at the ninja school is relatively easy, and I, the principal, are usually free, so I am a teacher to pass the time. So that's the case, then Naoki will ask you. Haruko said solemnly, and at the same time she was happy that Dong Shenyao could be Naoki's teacher, because she knew that Dong Shenyao was powerful. Don't worry, Auntie Haruko, I will teach Naoki well even for Tsunade's sake. By the way, Yao, what's the matter with you this time? At this time, Chunzi thought that he still didn't know the purpose of Dong Shenyao's visit. I just wanted to ask, does Tsunade have any news about her yet? Oh, so you're here to find Tsunade. Haruko smiled ambiguous when she heard that. Tsunade was taken away by her grandma. It is said that she went to practice in a secret place, so I don't know much about her situation. So that's the case, then I won't bother, Aunt Haruko is leaving. Seeing that Dong Shenyao was going to leave, Chunzi hurriedly kept him, but Dong Shenyao did not stay. Seeing that he had decided to go, Chunzi could only give up. Going to a hidden place, could it be Shikatsu Forest? Original work, Tsunade's psychic beast is a slug, and the slug exists on the same level as the toad family. However, the original work has never explained how Tsunade obtained the slug as a psychic beast. At this time, Dong Shenyao had to guess that this psychic was the beast passed down to Tsunade by Mito. But it was obviously useless to think about it now. After all, even if he knew that Tsunade was in Shikatsu Forest, he couldn't go without knowing the location of Shikatsu Forest. After leaving Senju Hashirama's mansion, Tashinya went straight home. In a blink of an eye, the school officially started. The ninja school was very lively on this day. After a month's vacation, the students returned to the school again, and many new students entered the school at the same time. Many senior students were waiting at the door, watching the freshmen go to school. Wow, that little sister is so cute. Look at that, it's so beautiful. Many boys shouted after seeing the first-year girls. Of course, there are also some girls who are looking at boys, and they will shout when they see handsome guys. Standing on the roof of the teaching building, looking at the scene at the entrance of the school, a smile appeared on the corner of Dong Shenyao's mouth. It's nice to be young. Although Dong Shenyao is only 15 years old now, he is not yet an adult, but he feels that he is really different from young people. Looking at the students below, he couldn't help but think of his John in school. It's better now, I wonder why I didn't encounter such a situation back then. Thinking of this, Dong Shenyao couldn't help but sigh. When he was in school, it happened to be when the Ninja World War broke out. At that time, the atmosphere was tense, and even children were affected, so how could they have the energy to pay attention to this? Everyone was basically practicing hard. Chapter 377 First Class. Soon the time was approaching 8 o'clock, and the time for class was approaching. Most of the students were already seated in the classroom. Of course, there are also some who came late. Seeing that the time is coming, they are running around the school and want to enter the classroom before the class starts. Ring bell bell. The bell rang and the first class started. And just as the bell rang, the door of the first grade class of the ninja school was pushed open, and then Dong Shenyao, dressed in a death tyrant costume, walked in. Hello, classmates. Dong Shenyao greeted after standing on the podium and scanning the 30 students below. Hello, teacher. A group of students hurriedly replied. Very good. No one was late. Yes, I have a good impression of you. Seeing that all 30 people were there, Dong Shenyao nodded in satisfaction. Today is your first day of school, and this is also the first lesson in your life. Since you are sitting here, it means that you all want to be ninjas. Do you know what a ninja is? Facing Dong Shenyao's question, the students fell into deep thought. Teacher, I know. Suddenly a child raised his hand. Oh, it's Xiaowu, then tell me what a ninja is. Teacher, ninjas are powerful people. Xiaowu raised his head and said confidently. Dong Shenyao was noncommittal about Xiaowu's answer, but just asked another question. Then you say, are samurai strong? Of course not as strong as ninjas. Xiao Wu replied without thinking. You are right, now the samurai has declined. The most powerful samurai is not as powerful as the most powerful ninja, but one thing cannot be denied, some samurai are still very strong, even not weaker than cage-level ninjas. Quote. After hearing Dong Shenyao's words, many people opened their mouths. These talents are only 3 or 4 years old, and how much can they know? They didn't know much about samurai before. Looking at the surprised students below, Dong Shenyao smiled slightly, then continued. So it is not right to say that the strongest people are ninjas, because not all ninjas are strong. Seeing that Dong Shenyao said that his answer was wrong, Xiao Wu lowered his head in frustration and felt a little ashamed at the same time. As a teacher, Dong Shenyao certainly could not dissuade the enthusiasm of the students. Xiao Wu, although your answer is wrong, it's good that you can speak your mind bravely. It's worthy of praise. Thank you, teacher. Sure enough, after Dong Shenyao's encouragement, a smile appeared on Xiao Wu's face. Okay, does anyone have an answer? After waiting for a while, seeing that no one answered, Dong Shenyao was not disappointed, because let alone these children, even many real ninjas did not understand the meaning of ninjas. Since no one has answered, then I'll tell you what a ninja is. Hearing Dong Shenyao's words, the students immediately pricked up their ears and listened. The so-called ninja, the most important thing is the word, forbearance, to be able to endure things that ordinary people can't bear, such as pain, temptation, etc. Ninja cultivation is hard, you must be able to endure hardships, endure physical and mental pain. And if you want to endure these painful torments, you must have a tenacious will. And one of the ways to gain tenacity is to determine your own way of forbearance. The so-called forbearance way, in layman's terms, is one's own pursuit and dream. In order to fulfill the dreams and pursuits in the heart, a person can bear the pain. Speaking of this, Dong Shenyao couldn't help but think of his dream. He was able to get to where he is today, in addition to the help of the system and various fortunes. The main reason is that he has dreams and pursuits in his heart, otherwise he can completely live a life of ease and freedom every day instead of practicing hard. Hearing Dong Shenyao's words, some students seemed to understand but some people understood the meaning of his words. I'm going to be Hokage, I'm going to work hard. Nawaki swears secretly, clenching his small fist. I'm going to be a powerful female ninja. Uchiha Makoto's delicate little face was filled with determination. I want to protect my brother. Hyuga Hazashi's eyes were full of determination. Looking at the different expressions on the students' faces, Dong Shenyao didn't say anything else. Some things are not just for you to say, and they have to be understood by themselves. Okay, that's all about the meaning of ninjas. Next, let's talk about the strength of ninjas. There are 3 elements of ninjas, who do you know? This question is relatively simple. Most of the people here are from the ninja family. They have been exposed to ninja training before going to school, so they are very clear about the 3 elements of ninja. Teacher, I know. I know too. Seeing that many people were in the giant hands, Dong Shenyao was very satisfied, and then he randomly ordered a person to answer. Teacher, the 3 elements of a ninja are ninja illusion. That's right, but there is another most basic thing. Speaking of this, Dong Shenyao paused, but this time he didn't ask anyone to answer, but continued. Ninja, the most basic thing is not ninja illusion, but chakra, which is the foundation of ninja. Today is the first class, the teacher will teach you to refine chakra today. Quote. At this time, many students lost interest. For commoners, the only way to practice chakra is through the ninja school, but for the ninja family, they have already started chakra practice at this time. Some people have not yet extracted chakra. Dong Shenyao ignored the disappointment of those students, and explained the method of chakra refining by himself. Time passed quickly, as if in the blink of an eye, a class was over. Okay, that's it for this class, and the next class is 1.2. Since there will be classes in a while, Dong Shenyao is not in a hurry to assign homework. Soon the time of the morning has passed, and Dong Shenyao did nothing else in this morning's class, and has been explaining the method of chakra cultivation. After the last get out of class at noon, the students are dismissed from school. Most of the students either go home for dinner or find a place to eat lunch. Dong Shenyao was going to eat, but was suddenly stopped by a petite figure. "Makoto, what's the matter?" Looking at the mother of the two Uchiha Itachi brothers in the original book, Tashinyao looked a little weird, but of course Uchiha Makoto didn't notice this. "Teacher, I have some questions to ask you." "Okay, come with me," said. Tashinyao took Uchiha Makoto back to the office. Chapter 378 Uchiha Makoto's Request. After returning to the office, Dong Shenyao sat down directly, then pointed to the opposite seat and said, "Makoto-san, please take a seat." "I won't sit for that, teacher," Uchiha Makoto said timidly. Even though she was very bold that day, she even dared to take the initiative to ask Dong Shenyao, but when facing Dong Shenyao alone at this time, she was a little timid. "Makoto doesn't have to be so restrained. In fact, I'm not too old. In terms of seniority, I can be regarded as the same generation as you." Dong Shenyao enlightened. Perhaps it was Tashinyao's words that played a role, and the nervousness on Uchiha Makoto's face was indeed reduced a lot. "Makoto-san has something to do, sit down and talk about it." This time, Uchiha Makoto did not refuse anymore, and sat directly opposite Dong Shenyao, but it was obvious that she was still a little cautious. "Makoto-san, do you have anything to do with me?" Tashinyao asked after pouring a cup of tea for Uchiha Makoto. "That teacher, you, 15 Uchiha Makoto looked hesitant. "If you have something Makoto-san says, don't be embarrassed." Facing Dong Shenyao's encouragement, Uchiha Makoto took a deep breath and finally stated the purpose of looking for Dong Shenyao. "Teacher, do you have any way to speed up the chakra refining?" Dong Shenyao looked at Uchiha Makoto with some doubts. "That's not right. Isn't Uchiha Makoto from the Uchiha clan? How could she ask such a question?" Dong Shenyao was really curious. There are several factors that affect the speed of chakra refining. Of course, it can be mainly divided into internal and external. The so-called external is the external object. The first is the refining method. The refining method is different, and the speed of refining chakra is also different. However, as the top clan, the Uchiha family has the best chakra refining method. The second is the use of various drugs to enhance physical fitness. The most common method is the medicated bath. In addition, it is the inner, one of which is the physique. The speed of chakra refining is also different with different physiques. The second is mental power, which is powerful, and the speed of refining chakra will be accelerated. May not know this, but Tashinyao doesn't believe that Uchiha Makoto, who is a Uchiha clan, doesn't know these things. "Makoto-san, don't you know how to speed up chakra refining?" "Teacher, I know some things, but I want to become stronger and become the strongest female ninja in Konoha village," Uchiha Makoto said with a firm look. "Then, Makoto, why do you think the teacher has a way to speed up the chakra refining?" Tashinyao asked curiously. "Because the teacher is a genius. I heard that the teacher is the strongest among the younger generation in Konoha village." "Hee, you are smart. I do have some methods, but why should I help you?" Dong Shenyao looked at Uchiha Makoto with a half-smile. Although Uchiha Makoto is a character that appeared in the original work and is a beautiful woman, Dong Shenyao will not help Uchiha Makoto for free because of this. Not to mention other things, just his relationship with the Uchiha family makes Dong Shenyao not do this. Uchiha Makoto wanted to say that I was your student, but in the end she didn't say it. Because the teacher-student relationship in this kind of school is very fragile, Dong Shenyao's responsibility is only to teach them some basic knowledge, such as speeding up the speed of chakra refining. It is impossible to teach. "Makoto, go back and think about it first, and come to me when you think about it." After that, Dong Shenyao ignored Uchiha Makoto and got up and walked out of the room. There was nothing secret in the room, so Tashinyao was very relieved to let Uchiha Makoto stay alone in the room. After leaving the office, Dong Shenyao left the school and found a restaurant in the village for lunch. After having a full meal and walking around the village, Dong Shenyao returned to school. There was still some time before class, so instead of going to the classroom, he went back to the office first. Hey, Makoto-san, you're still here. After entering the office, Dong Shenyao found that Uchiha Makoto was still inside. He didn't know whether Uchiha Makoto didn't leave, or if he left and came back. Teacher, I've been waiting for you. Makoto-san, do you want to understand? Well, I already figured it out. Teacher, as long as you can make me refine chakra faster and become stronger faster, you can make me do anything. Uchiha Makoto said firmly. Hearing Uchiha Makoto say this, Dong Shenyao couldn't help but think of some kind of deal between the principal and the female student. In a short period of time, Dong Shenyao had made up a blockbuster, which made him a little moved. But when Ta Shenyao saw Uchiha Makoto's petite body and thought that she was only 3 years old, a sense of guilt rose in his heart. She's still a child. After calming down, Dong Shenyao looked at Uchiha Makoto seriously and said, have you made up your mind? Well, I figured it out. Uchiha Makoto answered very simply, without any hesitation. Dong Shenyao didn't understand what made Uchiha Makoto, who was so eager for strength when he was a child, become a good wife and mother when he grew up, and gave up his childhood dream and turned to be at home with his husband and his children. But these are not what Dong Shenyao needs to think about now. Since you took the initiative to send it to your door, then I'm welcome. At this time, Dong 377 Shenyao had an idea. Uchiha Makoto, I can make you stronger as long as you recognize me as master and stay loyal to me for life. Acknowledge the Lord. Although Uchiha Makoto is a child, as a disciple of the big family, she still understands the recognition of the Lord. She did not expect that Dong Shenyao would make such a request. Hesitating for a moment, thinking of his own experience, Uchiha Makoto's eyes became firm. See master. Uchiha Makoto knelt directly in front of Dong Shenyao. Very good, since you have made a decision, don't regret it for the rest of your life, or I will make you pay a heavy price. At this moment, Dong Shenyao's eyes turned cold, and his body exuded a murderous aura. Uchiha Makoto is still a child after all. At this moment, she only felt that the temperature around her had dropped, and her whole body was not well. However, this murderous aura came and went quickly, and was quickly taken away by Dong Shenyao. Makoto, you don't know how to eat, do you have a bento? Ta Shenyao's expression became kinder again. Take. Okay, then, let's go to dinner. You can be late for class later. Thank you, master. Now that he has recognized the master, Uchiha Makoto quickly entered the role, and after saying goodbye to Ta Shenyao, he turned and left the room. Chapter 379 Celestial Tradition. The class officially started in the afternoon, because it is the first grade now, so it is all theory class. Looking at the vacant seat in the classroom, Dong Shenyao didn't care and started to continue the class. This time, Dong Shenyao did not continue to explain chakra, but started to talk about new knowledge. Students, the 3 elements of ninja illusion, in addition to taijutsu, ninjutsu and demonic illusion, and even sealing, etc., basically need hand seal, so hand seal is also a necessary homework for ninjas. Ninjas, unless they are pure physique type ninjas, they all need to learn hand seal. Now we will talk about hand seal. Quote. After hearing the course explained by Dong Shenyao, many students started to gasp. As members of the ninja family, they have already started to learn hand seal, even before they can refine chakra. Due to physical reasons, ordinary children will not start refining chakra before the age of 3, because it is too harmful to the body, but hand seal is different. This is the sooner the better. Seal speed will be difficult to increase. Therefore, for these students who have been studying hand seal for several months or even a year, the course at this time is a bit boring. Dong Shenyao also discovered this situation, but he couldn't skip hand seal's course, because although most people have learned it, there are still some people who haven't learned it. There are 12 kinds of mudra in total, no matter what kind of ninjutsu, demonic illusion, etc., the mudra used as a combination of 12 kinds of mudra. Hi. As he spoke, Dong Shenyao made a handprint gesture. Uchiha Makoto was late for half a class, and when she entered the classroom, Dong Shenyao didn't say much, just let her go back to her seat and sit down. But at this time, the students who were already bored had found a topic. Hey, what did you say Uchiha Makoto did? He was late for the first day of school. Who knows, but what surprised me the most was that the teacher didn't say anything. Could it be that the teacher is so good that he doesn't even care about being late? Who knows, maybe it is. With everyone's whispered discussions, many people have plans in their minds. Dong Shenyao didn't care about those who spoke. Anyway, the voice was not loud, and Dong Shenyao was more considerate of them. The speed of the hand seal has a great influence on the strength of the ninja, so everyone must train the speed of the hand seal well. For a real ninja, 5 seals in 1 second are only pass, 6 seals are good, and 7 seals are good. Excellent. Quote. Hearing Dong Shenyao's words, many people had smiles on their faces. Because they were young, their fingers were soft, and they had been in contact for a while. Many people were able to do 5 seals in 1 second, even 6 seals. But the next moment, Dong Shenyao's words hit these people. Don't think that doing 7 seals in 1 second is enough. That's only for those within Jonin. For elite Jonin and even stronger ones, 7 seals in 1 second is just the beginning, but a real master can do it in 1 second. 10 seals, or even more. In this case, it does not take a second to use ordinary ninjutsu, and it can be done smoothly. Of course, it is difficult to achieve this level, but you cannot give up because of difficulties. If you want to become a powerful ninja, you must start from the basics. Dong Shenyao said earnestly. Although he didn't need a hand seal to use soil skills due to the blood of the earth, Dong Shenyao still did not give up the practice of hand seal. Don't look at the speed of many ninja hand seals in the original book is not fast, but that is just an anime. After he came to the world of Hokage, Dong Shenyao knew that the real ninja hand seal is very fast, and most people can't see it with the naked eye. Clear. In a blink of an eye, it was time for school, the bell rang, and Dong Shenyao also stopped lecturing. Okay, that's it for today's class, I'll buy you some homework. Speaking of this, a smirk appeared on the corner of Dong Shenyao's mouth. He had been looking forward to this moment for a long time. Homework. Many people were stunned for a moment. Today was the first day of school. They didn't expect that they would have to leave homework. Then they were curious. They didn't know what homework Dong Shenyao would assign. The first homework is that those who haven't extracted chakra can try to extract it after they go back. If there is anything they don't understand, they can come to the school and ask the teacher tomorrow. Also, if they can't extract chakra within 3 months if carrot, then you have to drop out, because you are not fit to be ninjas. Quote. Speaking of this, a dozen people in the class were a little nervous, and several of them were members of the ninja family. Although they have already started refining chakra, most of them have only started learning it in the last 1 or 2 months. Some people have better talent and have already refined chakra, but some have not yet, and these have not been refined yet. Naturally, those who come out of chakra are nervous. Don't think that everyone in the ninja family is all ninjas, and there are some people who are not talented enough to become ninjas. Dong Shenyao didn't care about the reactions of everyone, and said to himself, the second homework is to copy the definition and introduction of chakra in the book 3 times. Ah! As soon as Dong Shenyao finished speaking, everyone exclaimed in surprise, followed by a look of reluctance. Dong Shenyao asked the copied content to be more or less, but the key is to copy it 3 times, which is more. Looking at the reluctance of everyone, Dong Shenyao was happy. Ha ha ha, I've finally become a teacher, so you should have a good understanding of how I felt when I was a child. Dong Shenyao did this just to vent his anger, thinking that he was in the previous world when he was in school, and he had a lot of homework. Now that he is finally a teacher, of course he wants to vent his dissatisfaction at that time. He wants to bring the tradition of the celestial dynasty to the world of Hokage, so that people in this world can experience it too. The third assignment. What? There is a third one. The students were shocked. Looking at Dong Shenyao in horror, they found out that this was a demon. The third homework is very simple. Practice the 12 mudras well. I will test everyone tomorrow. That's all for the homework. Remember to finish it well. If anyone fails to finish it, I will entertain him. Speaking of this, the expression on Dong Shenyao's face became a little gloomy, and the students were all frightened. School. After speaking, Dong Shenyao turned around and walked out of the classroom, but before leaving, he gave Uchiha Makoto a vague look. Teacher is so annoying. Yeah, there is too much homework. As soon as Dong Shenyao left, everyone immediately complained. Chapter 380 Punishment, Part 1. All the classmates complained about Dong Shenyaoliu's homework, but they only dared to complain there, but they didn't have the guts to say it in front of Dong Shenyao. While everyone complained, they did not forget to pack their things. Now that school is over, the most important thing is of course to go home. It didn't take long for everyone in the classroom to disappear, and in the end, only Uchiha Makoto was left. It wasn't until everyone left that she took up her small school bag and left the classroom. However, she did not leave the school directly, but went upstairs and came to Dong Shenyao's office with ease. Before leaving, Dong Shenyao glanced at Uchiha Makoto. From the look in his eyes, Uchiha Makoto could see his intentions, so he looked for Dong Shenyao in the office after school. Dang dang dang. There was a knock on the door, and Dong Shenyao, who was sitting behind the desk, shouted without raising his head, "The door is unlocked, come in directly." As Dong Shenyao's voice fell, there was only a light squeak, the door was pushed open, and then Uchiha Makoto stepped in. After seeing that Dong Shenyao was busy with things, Uchiha Makoto did not dare to disturb him, and after closing the door, she stood obediently at the desk, waiting for Dong Shenyao to finish the work in her hands. Didn't make Uchiha Makoto wait for a long time. In less than 5 minutes 053, Dong Shenyao was busy with his work. When he looked up and saw Uchiha Makoto, who was not as tall as a desk, Dong Shenyao was not surprised, because he believed that Uchiha Makoto could understand himself. Eyes. Dong Shenyao didn't speak in a hurry, first stood up and walked to the tea table beside him and sat down, then he waved to Uchiha Makoto, "Makoto, come here. I've seen the master." Uchiha Makoto walked to the front and back of the tea table and bowed respectfully on one knee. "Get up, sit down." S permission, Uchiha Makoto sat down on the other side of the tea table, but he still seemed a little restrained. "Makoto, your family won't be worried when you go back later." "No, master." "Makoto, you don't need to call me master, you can call me teacher." Being called master by a cute little loli made Dong Shenyao a little uncomfortable, and he couldn't help but think about evil places. "Understood, teacher." Uchiha Makoto didn't turn against Ta Shenyao. Maybe in her heart now, Ta Shenyao's words were the imperial decree. "Makoto, stretch out your arm." Uchiha Makoto was stunned when he heard the words. Although he didn't understand why Ta Shenyao let her do this, he still stretched out an arm very obediently. Ta Shenyao didn't explain, and directly pressed his finger on Uchiha Makoto's wrist in a pulse-taking posture. The next moment, Uchiha Makoto only felt a warm current coming out of Dong Shenyao's fingers and entering directly into his body. Well, the physical fitness is good, and the cells are also very active. After using his internal force to probe Uchiha Makoto's body, Dong Shenyao made a comment. As expected of the children of the big family, the physical quality is not comparable to that of ordinary civilians. Physical fitness and chakra refining are closely related. As for the rare chakra in Uchiha Makoto's body at this time, it has been ignored by Dong Shenyao. Uchiha Makoto has only just started refining chakra in the past month. Although he has successfully extracted chakra, the number is still very rare and can be ignored. Makoto, if you want to speed up the extraction of chakra, you should know the basic method, so I won't say it again. Whether it is the method of chakra refining or the medicinal bath, you should not lack it. Uchiha Makoto nodded obediently. Her family also has some status in the Uchiha family, so the chakra refining method she has learned is top-notch, and there is no shortage of medicated baths. Makoto, can you tell me why you have to speed up your chakra refining? With your current situation, even if you don't follow me to learn, you can become a strong person by following the steps. Facing Dong Shenyao's question, Uchiha Makoto lowered her head, and it took a few minutes before she raised her head again, but at this moment her eyes were already filled with tears. My lord, my parents are both ninjas, but my father died a year ago. He died during a mission. Since then, I have vowed to become a powerful ninja, and then take good care of my mother and prevent her from dying on the mission like my father did. Quote. Looking at the firmness in Uchiha Makoto's eyes, Dong Shenyao couldn't help but think of his parents, and at this moment, a softness appeared in his eyes. Makoto, I believe you will succeed. Come here first today, go home first, the formal training starts tomorrow. Remember to tell your mother, you will go back later. Well, I see, goodbye teacher. After saying goodbye to Tashinyao, Uchiha Makoto turned and left the room. When Uchiha Makoto left, Tashinyao didn't stay at school much and went home soon. Time flies like water, and in the blink of an eye, the second day has arrived. When Dong Shenyao walked into the classroom, he found that many students had turned into panda eyes and dark circles appeared on their faces, which was obviously caused by staying up late, which made Dong Shenyao happy. Now he can still recall how he stayed up late in the middle of the night trying to finish his homework in middle school and high school. Dark circles, those are my lost youth. Well, after sighing, Dong Shenyao found out that someone hadn't arrived yet. There were 30 students in the first class, but now there are only 28 students, and one of the absent students turned out to be Nawaki, which made Dong Shenyao a little angry. It's so disrespectful to me. Although he was angry in his heart, Dong Shenyao did not show it on his face. Well, the class starts now, but before that, please take out the homework, I want to check. When speaking, Dong Shenyao did not forget to carefully observe the expressions of everyone. He found that some students' expressions became a little bit nervous. Soon Dong Shenyao walked around the classroom and checked the homework. Well, everyone is basically done, not bad. But Hyuga Hazashi, Nara, and Ma. Nito Ryuki, how about your homework? That teacher, I forgot to bring it. Nara and Ma said a little nervously. Such a familiar excuse. As a past person, how could Dong Shenyao believe his words? If you don't bring it, you don't write it. You guys, go to the playground outside for 5 laps. Ah.